Inside Stone's Gambling Hall in Sacramento, California, you'll find Sammy's Restaurant and Bar. Recognized for its innovative, healthy global cuisine, Sammy's offers menu selections made with local, organic ingredients. Indulgent options like truffle fries, duck tacos, artisan wood-fired pizzas, fresh salads, and more, along with an eclectic selection of craft beers and classic handcrafted cocktails. Plus, with 40 big screen TVs, Sammy's is also the perfect place to catch your favorite game. Satisfy your craving anytime, 24/7, tableside or in the dining room at Sammy's Restaurant and Bar at Stone's Gambling Hall. Premature ejaculation.
You gotta get it out there.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Stone's Live Poker. I am Veronica Brill. With me is the Jake. The Dream Team is back, and
What's up, guys?
the Dream Team has some cream icing on top because tonight with us is 678. And apparently I'm 678 and you're Veronica Brill.
That's okay, I'll be a Veronica tonight.
Okay, we'll get you a blonde wig.
For the right price, we'll all be anybody, let's face it.
We have an amazing lineup, a 5-5 game like no other. AD is in the game.
Yes.
AD's like that hot chick in high school that you've just been dreaming about for 3 years. Like you want her so bad. Yes, that's AD. So
We had different high school experiences, evidently.
AD is in the game. Casey, one of my trifecta members, he is in seat 1. He's sitting at 800. So this is a 5-5 game. It probably plays a lot like our 5-10. Depending on, well, AD's in the game, so it'll be a 5-5, like 50.
5-5, 25, 5-5, 50. It's gonna be it'll be a lot of games. It's gonna be good. So 678, you came all the way down from Fresno to crush some commentary with us. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh yeah, 678, you're here.
You play for a living, mostly grinding out games on Bovada these days, I understand.
Yeah, play mid-stakes Bovada, and I don't really get out and do live too often anymore, and not much commentary, so this will be a little bit of fun.
I've actually watched some of your live stream, and it was really good. And you're a very elite thinker in the poker world. I mean, Jake's just like elementary school, you know, like I kind of get by with him, but you are a beast.
Well, I do a lot of study work, like probably a 3-to-1 or 4-to-1 ratio of playing to studying, so...
Wow.
I think that's good though. I mean, it's probably reflective. I think a lot of great players probably, if not, equally balance their amount of time spent on improving or studying the game to playing the game. If not going the other way around, spending even more time studying, working on their game and then playing. Players that just play and do no time, working on their game, trying to improve, probably reflective in their results.
I'm sitting right here. Don't talk about it. So,
it's a lot of fun. I'm excited tonight. Yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember Kelly from our previous live stream.
Kelly from the Bay.
She is smoking hot and really good at poker. I can say it because I'm a woman, right? So Kelly's there.
It's not sexist now.
It's not sexist anymore. Kevin's in seat 2. AD, my baby. Look at Kelly. She's beautiful. AD's in seat 4. Garland's in seat 5. Peter, always enjoying a salad. Peter's in seat 6. Bill drives up here. Where does Bill drive from? He doesn't live in Sacramento, but he drives up here. Anyway, we've got a hand in play right now. And then we've got Reggie and Anthony. Call your mother Anthony.
So this ought to be good. Everyone's close to. I mean, Garland's side here. Everyone's pretty much close to 200 bigs deep. So it should leave the game pretty open to making moves and putting pressure on opponents. The graphic shows Anthony has about 850 in front of him. I can see already he's got a lot more than that. So I don't know when it is that we took down these numbers, but the game already, all the games here at Stones play table stakes. So this game is 200 to 1,000 to start out, and then table stakes after that. So this game's been going on for a little while, so the game's already running a little bit deeper than what the graphics are there.
Yeah, it says Kelly has 1,000. She's got like 1,600 in front of her. Reggie's new to our stream. I haven't seen him before.
New blood.
Welcome to the game, Reggie. And Anthony in his seat 9.
Looks like you got some pretty much 200 big blinds around the table, so enough wiggle room for the game to play a little bit deeper, like you guys were talking about.
Standard at stones, definitely.
Mad Russian Poker, welcome to the chat.
Mad Russian's going to be
Rick
in
and
the game
Barstow.
on Wednesday on Veronica and Friends. So very
And the world's
excited.
craziest 1-3 game that the world ever knew.
Yes, Veronica and Friends on Wednesday.
It's very alcohol driven.
Whenever Eastern Europe takes over, it's a bad idea, but good for stones.
So we talked about, okay, like, this game, like, for the most part, is playing 200 bigs deep. Online play, going back to, I'm reflecting off how I used to play full tilt all the time. Standard buy-in was, 100 bigs. You grinding out mostly Bovada these days, some of the games. Where are players playing? Is it still 100 bigs deep? And
A lot of 100 big blind play starting out. I mean, obviously you get fish with less, but as stacks grow, it depends on, like with me, I don't really study a lot of really deep play. I focus on 100 big blind play because the game is so vast within the 100 big blind region that if you go really far beyond that, it gets really complex. So it plays a lot differently when you get deep. The in-position player can actually put a lot of pressure with their stack size, use overbets to really punish them, and especially with a balanced range.
Yeah.
So Anthony opened up, in the hijack to 25. He got 2 callers and leads out. He would lead out with most of his range here, and
So that's interesting because a board like that's really
is coordinated.
so connected. He should be trying to get to showdown with a lot of his middling pairs, and if he's leading out with most of his range like that, you see good players. They should just be check raising the hell out of them. They're just going to go insane on.
Yeah, that board hits a big line like defense range, like nothing, no other.
Yeah.
Kind of smacks it.
Rick and Barstow asked if the theme for Wednesday is going to be love for the Eastern Bloc. Yes, it is. Proper 3-bet in the chat. Nice to see you, Gankle. I
All our
actually
favorites.
had plastic surgery and got rid of my Gankle. You still have your Gankle, don't you?
Absolutely.
Love your Gankle. I mean, come on. It's 2016. Love your Gankle. Fat Train's in the house. Puck 66. Brett McCall. Is Kelly a pro? Seen her a few times now. I'm not sure if she is a pro, do you know?
Kelly regs all the Bay Area games. I see her coming over here for all the larger buy-in tournament events that we get around town. I'm not positive if she plays for Looking or not, but I know she grinds out a lot of poker, so.
She's really comfortable with her chip work on her fingers. You can tell that she plays a lot of poker.
Yeah, a lot of time.
Not amateur hour.
Playing with
Yeah,
her
definitely
chips.
Casey's gonna make it 30 to go out of the hijack, Queen Jack offsuit. Looks like I think we have a $10 straddle in this hand. Reggie had limped in the ace-6 off. Queen Jack 5 rainbow, top 2 for Casey.
Probably be a check bet fold.
And most players playing, big cards. Casey's got to hope that board's somehow going to connect with Reggie somehow. Unfortunately for him, it completely misses him. Casey bets 35. Check bet fold. Easy game. All you gotta do is flop top 2, c-bet and win. Down the
Right?
pot.
That's what I say.
And that's a board that you should probably be polarizing a little bit more than he did. I think 35 into 80 is just really just asking. I mean, you're really wanting to push like pairs of 9s, pairs of 8s, smaller pairs out of the pot. So you want to use your strong hands like Queen Jack to bet larger, and then you also want to use just your total air to just bet at a decent sizing to get those middling.
But yeah, if your opponent's got any kind of reasonable equity against you, he's gonna call. I mean, almost any size bet there, right? So I mean, really, if you're betting smaller, you might be like losing some value there by not betting larger. If your opponent's got a hand they can call with, right?
Someone
Yeah.
with 10s, you think calls there too?
If you size up a little bit, I don't think they do, but I think you can get value from, weak queens, like you were saying, like weak
King,
queens,
queen,
King,
okay.
king,
King,
queen,
jack.
ace, jack,
stuff like
hands
that.
like that. If your opponent's got a hand, he's gonna call with it. I don't say call any size bet, but you might be losing a little bit of value. is if everyone's got a hand lean like sixes, ace six, like we saw there at Reggie have, he's going to be check folding everything no matter what. So you're not losing anything by betting large. But if your opponent does have a hand he's going to call with, you might be losing some value by betting a little bit on the small side.
Looks like Bill's putting in a re-raise. Is this a straddle?
This is the straddle.
And like most of my talk usually comes from a theory perspective, not exactly an exploitative perspective. I study mostly equilibrium play. So when I say something, it's mainly optimal poker, which these guys might have reads that are outside of optimal.
Yeah.
You may make an exploitative play that,
Based on like the player that you've been playing against for a few hours. Is that what you mean?
Exactly,
Okay.
yes.
You're a theoretical physicist in the poker world. Is that a fair statement? Is that a comparative?
Why not?
Whatever you like to call
can say
me.
whatever we
Yes.
want to say here.
Yes, I mean, Jesus.
That was really nice. Okay, I'll go with it.
So the $10 straddle's still on here. Looks like we have a round of straddles going on right now. So we're playing 5-5-10. So even at 5-5-10, everyone still looks, about 100 bigs deep, which should be, pretty comfortable level of play for most of these players.
Kelly's putting in a raise.
She makes it 30 to go, ace-10 off, under the gun +3, middle position.
AD, never one shy to play. 9-7 off. I like it in the cutoff. I don't know if you know about the F-it button.
What was the F-it button?
AD's F-it button's stuck on, and he just doesn't care.
Nice.
And he's here to play. And he will destroy the entire table.
He's got
And if
bluff mode, huh?
He's in chronic bluff mode. Or I mean, he doesn't get angry when he's run over, but
So Reggie defended the straddle here as well. Ace-7-8, 2 diamonds. Kelly hits top pair. AD catches bottom pair. Can't see Reggie's holdings as of right now.
It's a decent spot to be leading in multi-way, but if it was like a heads-up pot, I think you should probably be checking mostly with like ace-10. It's another board that you should be really polarized on, and larger sizings and out of position. Good players can really punish you by raising.
There's a card on the turn. 9 of diamonds comes off. Makes 82 pair, completes some straight and flush draws. Gives Kelly an open-ended straight draw to go along with a pair of aces.
so I want to ask you a question when we're done this hand, with a comment that you made about ace-10, Kelly's ace-10. How comfortable is Kelly right now? She's three-way in this pot.
Reggie's now led into her for 60. Really small relative to the size of the pot. She's getting a hell of a price.
He must be looking. I mean, what type of hands is he really looking to get value from? 9-10 maybe.
I'd
There's
love
not
to
many
know what he
weaker
has.
aces that you can really pull a lot of value from here. So I'm not sure I really love the bet.
She's a beast. Look at that fold.
Kelly gets away, being laid a hell of a price. 80 has 2 pair and he comes along.
Oh, the 60 was from the 9-7.
No. 60,
from
60
Reggie.
was from Reggie under the gun.
80 called the 9-7.
Reggie
call.
led out 60. Kelly, who would c-bet her ace-10 on pre-flop, or c-bet her ace-10 on the flop, lets it go when the diamond gets there, and the 9 comes along.
So
80 who made 2 pair overcall on the flop, or I'm sorry, yeah. And then turn, he calls 60. Reggie leads 90 on the river.
AD looks like he's reaching for raising chips. AD's like a wicked witch, always stirring a cauldron with like smoke coming out of it. Like, "Arr, what's next?"
It's an odd hand to turn into a bluff.
Is he turning it into a bluff though? Does he think his
Maybe
hand
he-
is best?
Maybe he thinks he's getting value.
He's gonna
Oh,
make
he's
the
just
call.
calls. Okay, I thought he was raising.
80 makes a call, and Reggie's gonna turn over ace. Is that ace queen?
Could have got value.
It was like an ace-9, ace-10. It couldn't have been ace-9. Wow, it was.
So Reggie overcalled the
Ace
flop.
10, ace 10.
Ace X, ace 10. Ace 10 of hearts. Reggie overcalls the flop, turns open-ended and leads out into Kelly. Gets Kelly off the same hand. I mean, that's a positive. Anytime you can get a player off the same hand, I mean, that's a positive result right there. I mean, not to be results oriented, but then I mean, the problem is for him that card also made 80.
But as you see,
2 pair.
they did fold the same value hand, so you're not really getting a bunch of value from worse aces by betting there either.
Yeah.
So
Now tell me, well, you said on the flop it's good to be polarized in your betting, like with her ace 10. So how do you know when to be polarized? What type of flops are telling you to be polarized on your betting?
I mean, that type of board, it's just really wet and really connected, and the in-position players can put a lot of pressure on you with hands with high equity, and so they're going to have sets of 7s, sets of 8s in the flatting range. They're going to have 19 suited. They're going to have hands that are just pushing just tons of equity, you know, near 100% equity against a lot of your range, and then they're going to have hands that are that they can just balance it with, that are going to be just flush draws, high equity hands that they can just put a lot of pressure on you with. So really, by leading there, you're just opening yourself up to not playing a 3-street game, but the fact that they can raise you makes it more of a 4-street game.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
They get
you want
one more
control.
action to play back at you with.
Okay.
So pot controlling on the first street is a little bit better because it's more of a 2-street hand.
Oh, okay. You're such a wizard. See, Jake doesn't teach me this stuff. Jake's like so elementary.
You're ruining my game. You're killing my action, David. What do we bring this guy along for?
It's like free coaching right now.
Oh, I love talking poker. It's my favorite.
Yeah, me too.
So the $10 straddle here is still live. Casey's got it on right now. 80's in a call, 9-7 off. He likes that hand these days. Comes around to Peter in the cutoff. He's in a complete, or no, I'm sorry, he's gonna make it 35 to go. King 9 of hearts.
Bill's on the button with kings.
Happy birthday, Bill.
See, I feel like Bill, I've
Did
been
Bill
watching
just
him.
flat there? Bill did that sick. God. Bill
I
flats
haven't seen
kings.
this out of Bill. I haven't seen this before. I feel like he's just overpowers a lot of his hands. Maybe he's watched himself. Because, you know, he's always bet other people off of his pots, weaker hands off of his pots.
No, I don't mind seeing like really strong hands
This
flat
is-
on the button either when you have an aggressive player in the blinds. When you can get squeezed and
And
you
this
can
is-
re-squeeze.
Yeah, and, well, I mean, AD's not
And
on the
Casey
blind
is that player. Casey is a very capable player who can make a move out of the straddle there. So yeah, maybe not the worst move by Bill here, flatting kings on the button. Comes back around 80. 80 calls it 25 more with 9-7 off. And Peter goes along.
Kings is just destroying those two hands.
Queen 6 deuce, 2 spades. Misses both 80 and Peter.
Peter's not the type to represent anything. He's not going to try to bluff at anything. Not, yeah. And Peter was the original raiser here, so the C bet, he didn't have it in his range here. Do you know what I mean? Like he hasn't, his C bet range is only hands he's hitting right now, it seems like, right?
Yeah, Peter's playing pretty close to the vest. So let me put it. So David, if you're in Peter's seat here, you'd open up. Let's say you'd open the straddle to 35 with King 9 of hearts there, and someone flatted the button behind you, and on a Queen 6 deuce, or like that where you completely airball. I mean, I guess you're blocking some King Queen there with King in your hand,
And some Queen 9.
and some Queen 9. But is that the kind of board that you really? I mean, how often or consistently are you c-betting there? Three-way.
Well, being that he was out of position, well, three-way, I think if you're going to pick hands to c-bet into a three-way pot, blockers are just going to be of highest value.
Yeah.
So if you're going to pick a hand like King 9 to choose it with, like King 9 of hearts, it seemed like a really good option there because it seemed like a really good option for a three-barrel hand because you have two spades on the board, you're not blocking the spades, so a lot of their range is going to be calling range, call, fold range, rather than a value range that's going to call.
Yeah.
So you're blocking their value range.
But you're not blocking their bluffs.
But you're not blocking
their draws.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they're going to call two streets and then fold the river. So I think that's a really good candidate for like a three-barreling hand.
Reggie's putting in.
So you're giving Veronica all these ideas right now, and she's gonna go off in these tables after the team and just spew off. I can't
I'm
wait.
gonna spew regardless.
Yeah, David said just like three barrel every like street. I like.
And you do have to be selective.
I'm looking at a woman laying on a bed with like almost nothing on, right in front of us. How do we concentrate? To a flop, A6-7 rainbow, or as Train likes to say, a funky little rainbow.
Checks through. 10 comes off on the turn, gives Kevin an inside straight draw to Broadway. Casey's got the same inside straight draw, or another inside straight draw to Broadway, I should say.
It's a good lead. Probably a little bit larger sizing would be better.
Optimal.
Yeah.
As it is, it's gonna work.
And if the smaller sizing works, you're probably just printing money there.
So I was kind of finding a fun little balance here in like bet sizing, and where a lot of players, they'll kind of opt for the lighter side on their size, and kind of where they'll feel like, if 50 is going to accomplish it, then 30 will do the same, accomplish the same job and risk less, and then it's better. And also to a lot of players at these stakes, these levels, I feel like that a smaller sizing will feel like they're begging for a call. And so players, will just immediately just kind of assume that they must be stronger there if they're betting so small.
Yeah, or they're looking for thin value. And there's ways to balance all different board textures. You really have to think about. I mean, a really strong player against you is if you're exploitatively betting smaller, the strong players are just going to punish you.
Yeah.
Right? So you have to. The reason I come from a theory perspective is because online there's a lot of people that are playing really well these days, and if you're playing exploitatively, then you just have big open holes in your game that people can just grab at.
Yeah.
And like I said, if these players play with each other often, it's something they might be doing because they have reads.
Yeah.
Speaking of big open holes, I'm doing commentary tonight. What? And 1011er, welcome to the chat. Flop comes 4-9 king. And Fat Train says that a little bit of rainbow is good. Sometimes those rainbows get funky. Yes, Fat Train, we all understand that.
So there was a question that was directed towards me. If our plan is for a hand is a 2-street hand, when is it better to bet flop turn? When is it better to bet flop river? I think there's different times for putting in those types of bets, like that board with the ace 10, I believe it was, and there was a different type of flush draw. I think it's fine to use it as a pot controlling hand out of position on the early streets, but if we're going to bet like in position and we want to get worse value from worse hands, probably betting earlier streets with front end aggression is probably a little bit better to get value from draws.
From draws, yeah.
Listen, we have 6, 7, 8 in the box. Is that too risque to say in the box? If you have any poker questions, this will probably cost you $300 an hour. Tonight it's free. Free.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Type in your questions. I'll make sure he answers them. He can see my phone. Look.
You
there
guys
it
are
is.
nice.
No, you're nice. We appreciate you coming down.
Well, I think it was.
Is this
it was something that I had to do after I got you guys to take a shot a while back. Right?
Right?
Yeah. I think AD has a $25 straddle on, so this is a 5-5-25 game currently. And this is what we like to call in the nursing world sickness.
And this is good. Like I mean, players here that can play a 5-5 game.
5-5-25.
AD is going to be very good at taking players out of their comfort zone.
Yes.
Making the game play bigger than what they signed on for.
He doesn't use lube when
And
he
for a
does
guy
it.
who just like I don't care, let's barrel, let's roll.
That's great. I love it, especially when you're playing 200 big blind stacks or 300 big blind stacks. Putting a lot of pressure on is the key.
Deuce 4-4, and Kevin, who elected to defend the big blind with King 4 of hearts, flops the world here.
He just went to prom with the hottest chick, and he's happy. She's given in.
It checks through the flop. 10 of diamonds comes off on the turn. Does bring a flush draw.
Do you think he should have c-bet there, or not c-bet, but do you think he should have opened there on the flop?
Donk lead? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, donk bet.
No, I don't think so. You're probably pushing a lot of hands out. The thing is you're not pushing a lot of. You don't have a lot of really strong hands in your range. You have a couple like ace 4, king 4, obviously. But you're not holding aces, kings, queens like the razor is.
Yeah.
So leading into them, you're going to be so off balance that you should be checking, and then you can have a check raising range, a check calling range, but probably with a king 4, it's a really strong 4. Check raise is a really good option there.
So tell me when, if ever, a donk bet is a good option.
When the board really connects with your range, like we were talking earlier, out of the big blind, really wet flop 8, 9, 10.
Stuff that's going to get checked back oftentimes, or you're going to lose value by checking.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, if he's going to be checking back a lot of hands, you're losing value.
So yeah,
Well
if it
then.
really connects with your range, if you have a lot of really strong hands in your range, and the villain has a lot of, in comparison, has a lot of air, or maybe not even air, but just not nuts, you can put a lot of pressure on with the nutted region of your range.
Garland straddled this hand, and Kelly's putting in a raise. And this whole time you're saying, why haven't you listened to me for the last 6 months? I've been saying all of this, right? Is that what you're saying?
A little bit. It's
When
fun,
I'm
but-
asking him
yeah, but,
questions
you
and I'm
know,
like, oh, I respect
it's
your
kind of one of those things, you know,
answer.
what's the word?
It's like being married. I just don't want to listen to him anymore.
I'm a biased party. Like when I tell her something, I'm just like, you know, running around like telling her what to do. It's like, hey, like, you know, the 678 David Alfred comes to the booth and she's like, oh my god, like, it's just everything. It's like a whole new world.
Yeah. Like for the next 4 months, I'm going to talk about you, and Jake's going to be like, "Ooh, what about me?" Anyway.
So the straddle's still going on here. So we're 5-5-10. Peter's got the straddle.
Welcome to the chat, Drake RX. I don't think I saw you. And Boom RFD. I don't know.
Did Bill
Boomer
just
FD.
open fold 8-7?
Knit Poker, welcome.
I hope not.
Yeah, like I think 8-7 suited is a very good raise there. You know, but just open folding is way too tight if you're open folding 8-7 suited.
We'll actually ban you from the live stream if you open fold 8-7 suited in late position. I've decided.
Or
It's a
don't
new
three
rule.
bet it, right? It's a 3-bet. It's a 3-bet or a raise or something. Do something with it.
Kelly makes it 30 to go. Ace King. 80s will defend the small blind. King 5 suited, and both players connect here. King Deuce 8, 2 hearts. Kelly's best, of course, with her Ace King.
She likes to just call.
I like the call. He shouldn't be leading out of the small blind with King 5. Again, she has a really strong hand, and she's just calling, allowing him to barrel off his weak hands for his bluffs, and she's just going to soak up the value with her strong hands.
Remember I told you about that F it button?
80 check calls 50. 7 of diamonds. Really safe card for Kelly. 80's gonna check it.
On the river here, I would like to see an overbet. He's
Oh,
really
wow.
capped, and she has all the really strong hands in his range, or in her range, and an overbet would be perfect.
Yeah, if he's got a busted flush draw, he's not calling anything no matter what, so who cares?
Overbetting is like meeting Robert Smith backstage in 1985 at a concert.
Kelly
It's
bets
just glorious.
75.
Beautiful, right? So yeah, I knew a pot like 320. I don't know what the exact pot is before the bet, but you know, 1.5x pot here, 2x pot, put a lot of pressure on them with your ace king, and you'll also be able to easily balance it with a bunch of bluffs.
I think that's one thing we constantly talk about it here on the show or recognize that good players is just that balance. If you're playing your nutted hands, one way, then you got to be playing your bluffs the same way. And I think that's an inconsistency, or maybe one of the areas that a lot of players probably could work on the most is balancing their bet sizing with their bluffs and their nutted hands. Some players will tend to like to overbet bomb their nuts, and then take less
Forget
risk
about their
when
bluffs.
exactly, forget their bluffs, or the opposite, where they'll bomb their bluffs, super high risk type hands, and then get super good, like I just want to get paid off, and they'll half pot, third pot, bet their nut hands.
Well, when you do overbet there, you allow yourself to bet a lot more bluffs in your range, and you're punishing them because they're capped, and now you just have all the really strong hands, and so now they're like, well, do I call?
Yeah.
It's going to cost me a lot of money,
Flip a
and
coin
you have all the good
and-
hands, and I don't.
Yeah, doing guesswork. Anytime you can keep your opponent doing guesswork, especially in a position like that, it's free money.
You thought about writing a book?
No, but I like reading books.
I'll give you a good theoretical physics book to read. Is Casey? Yeah, Casey put in a raise to 35.
So 111er makes a comment that was a bad turn card for Kelly, and I think there's probably a little bit of truth there. That we saw 80 lead out right into her with this flop top pair, and on a previous hand that might have slowed 80 down.
I think it might have slowed Azan down. It might have slowed Kyle down. It's not going to slow AD down. AD is a different kind of player. AD's, I guess, has a lot more. What's the word I'm looking for?
Mucho aggression.
Mucho aggression. He is very aggressive. He will put pressure on you no matter what, and
So-
he's not going to let you bluff him.
Kelly elects to put in a 3-bet here with ace queen off. 3, 5, 6. It's pretty dry.
pretty good C-bet. It just doesn't really connect with too many people, to be honest, in a 3-bet pot.
80's got the gut shot and position here to go along with the pair of deuces. Not to mention the best hand. Kelly's going to double barrel here. The king's a good card for her to keep firing at. Because had she missed the flop, the hand like ace king, something like that, that's a hand that most players are going to have in the 3-betting range. The king hits her. It's a good hard, and it's good hard for her to fire. It's harder for 80's hand, or any player for that matter, that would have called on a 3-5-6 board to have the king help them out really, unless they were floating, unless they had flatted a 3-bet pre-ace king and then were floating her.
She seems to be playing a really good game so far in the few hands that we've seen. Her game seems to be, and it kind of goes with her chip play, you know. And that's one thing maybe you shouldn't be doing at a table, is playing with chips a lot. If people are going to notice that type of thing, if right off the bat someone goes, oh well, she's a good player, she plays a lot because she's good with the chips.
Handles chips. I remember watching one of everyone's favorite poker movies, Rounders, and something I was watching something about the making of it, the filming of it, whatever like that, and they had all these players playing blackjack and players that were the actors in the film. Was it Rounders? It was it was that movie 21 about the MIT blackjack team. Sorry. And they're talking about these players that were playing blackjack, and the actors getting ready for the film, this and the other, and a lot of them were learning to riffle chips and things like that. And the director very wisely told them, no, don't do that. Like, if these players in reality were, trying to maintain this kind of fish, coy, type persona, like, you don't want to look like you're the person who knows what they're doing.
I have to disagree. As a woman, a lot of times we don't get any respect, and it's sometimes you want to.
That's good.
At the poker table?
It depends. Yeah, a lot of times it depends. You get a lot of guys that are like, oh, you can't get away with any bluffs. You have to have good hands, because they'll be like, oh, just pay you off. You know how many guys want to donate to you? And if they have some respect
have one face
for
people
you,
just want to give you money though. Like,
I
wish
do.
that was
like,
the case.
I have that.
I'm gonna put on a wig and go to
So
the casino.
yeah, I have some lipstick, some bright red. But if you show that you're somewhat of a respectable player, they'll respect you a little more. You can get away with a little bit more.
So you want the respect because you also want to prove yourself in the game as a poker player, right?
Yeah, because they automatically assume as a woman that you're just some amateur twit that doesn't know anything, and they're like, oh, little lady, oh yeah, let me see what you got, and you can't get away with anything. You have to have nuts. It's very frustrating.
And that's what Luca says. I wish I
could get away with getting called on a man, right? Like, I'm in the same way. Like, God, I wish I. And there's been spots to do some larger events I played with top naming like TD pros, where I know them, but they don't know me, so I can get away with like doing some pretty blatantly fishy stuff. Like you donk betting certain boards that are just like no one in the right mind, whatever too. But like I can just like hey, that's gonna miss him and I miss me as well, but I can just fire out here and pretend to be the idiot who's over giddy about flopping
and
top pair.
If people aren't playing correctly against your donk bets, then it's probably a really good strategy.
Yeah. So I mean, I wish people didn't take me so seriously.
Okay, I got to donk bet correctly now. Make it a good strategy.
Well, maybe not. Maybe you can find the right people to do it against that aren't going to raise you, or they're not going to flat and play in position correctly.
Big flop here for Kevin. Flops a pair and a diamond draw. Anthony also makes a pair of nines. Everyone else pretty much whiffs.
So Kevin's in position here, under the gun +3.
Yeah, Anthony's going to lead out 15 with his 9-6.
So this is another spot where donk leading is just going to cost you a lot of money with relative portions of your range. I mean, with portions of your range. This might be just like a type of feeler bet. I still don't like it, but raise here, obviously, by anybody because they can just punish you with their equity.
Yes.
And 45 is probably not enough, but it
gets the job done.
Thing.
Now I have a question for you. So you play very much GTO, Game Theory Optimal. Is there a point in the game where you can become so optimal with your decisions that it can almost be like a mathematical game where you don't have to include psychology in the game when you're playing live?
Yeah, I mean, well, when you're really working on understanding the theory behind it, I mean, the main thing about understanding theory is to really understand when opponents are making mistakes. It's not necessarily to play optimal, but you want to play optimal up until you know someone's making a mistake, and then you can go outside of optimal
And exploit them.
And exploit them. So I mean, I think a lot of people think that you should be playing optimal or in that with those around those words, but that's not necessarily the case. You should play optimal until you know that you can exploit somebody, and then or as close to optimal as you believe. So the more study work you do, the more close to optimal you can probably find yourself.
Shadow's still on. Peter makes it 35 to go. Sixes out of the cutoff. Casey with queens in the straddle.
There's a lot of, by studying theory though, you really get to understand a lot, like, not like the ace-10, just not getting punished by people when they have a lot of strong hands in their range, a lot of equity that can just put a lot of pressure on you.
Now, did Casey limp the queens and then put in a re-raise?
No, Casey straddled here. Casey had a $10
okay,
straddle and then
okay.
exercised his option to straddle, so put in a re-raise. Casey made it 85
Now,
to go pre.
Peter's
Peter
open-ended.
called, and now on the 5-4-7.
What a hand. I love these kinds of hands.
Casey bets 125, and Peter's just gonna call. Disco. Casey's gonna slow down.
And even with the sixes in his range, he should be slowing down here because he's going to be checking the rest of his range. He needs to protect those checks. He's in a very, very few sixes, so checking is just going to be 100%.
Casey just got drunk and made out with
Casey just
a
jammed.
girl he doesn't like. Oh!
Wow,
no!
Casey just jammed.
It's because Peter didn't have that much behind.
Okay,
It's not like Peter had 2K behind, and Casey's gonna hit
9
this.
comes off.
I think Casey maybe reconsiders that jam if Peter had like 2K behind. I think that.
Yeah, I don't think Casey's ever jamming.
I think Casey
Large if Peter's
looked at
got
his
a lot of money to get
queens,
back.
looked at Peter's stack, and was committed all the way to this with this hand, no matter what.
So part of me, like, thinking the way I think, like, I'd almost wonder, like, if your opponent's got a 6, you're dead. If your opponent's got clubs, though, I mean, you might be pricing the calling.
Doing really well, yeah.
You're doing really well. Would you almost? I mean, so part of me there. Let's say if you think that your opponent's gonna have some club draws there as well. So I mean, almost, are you better off, just check calling there and then keeping bluffs in his range on the river to letting him bluff there, or do you not want it, or do you check jamming's optimal, and that way a non-club doesn't come off? Which
Well, go ahead, Holly.
No, I was gonna say with Peter. Speaking of the psychology of the game, do you think there's bluffs in his range?
Peter's got some gears. Peter plays a game that's pretty close to the best.
I understand
But other than
his
that,
gears, but-
we'll see Peter occasionally make moves where it's just like sudden like aggression out of nowhere. We're like, where the hell did that come from?
I would say that most of the time, Peter is not going to be having bluffs in his range.
He has less
So
bluffs
you
than
think
he has than value hands.
so you think he's checking back flush draws there?
Yes, he'll check back flush draw. I think so.
Well, then it would be a clear mistake to be check raising him there in that position.
Then it would be,
Am I wrong? You think Peter would check back flush draw?
I tend to agree with you. I like to play devil's advocate. No idea.
I understand that you want to talk game theory optimal, but I also want to talk about the intrinsic parts of the game that can be adjusted.
It is
Yeah.
optimal play when he's only betting his sixes and then checking back his flush draws. Optimal play is to not check raise it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So I mean, it doesn't. GTO is different than optimal though. GTO is two players playing Nash equilibrium, two players against that know each other's full strategy.
Okay.
So,
Yes.
and it's more of a study thing. So I call it more optimal play because
Okay.
optimal is going to be you're playing optimally against your nemesis, no matter what. So you can
Okay.
play exploitatively against your nemesis, and you can play optimal against game theory optimal opponents.
I'm trying to soak this in because normally I just soak in like one or two things a night from Jake. So it's a lot more from you.
Wow. Oh, God. That's so great. So Reggie's going to bet 145 here. AD, Ace Jack. He's got backdoor spades, 2 overs. Mustache 707, welcome to the chat.
Mustache! What's up? I'll see you on Wednesday. You're locked and loaded. No, that's next month. This Wednesday's gonna be a bunch of ladies.
What month is it?
What month are we in? I don't know. I've been locked in like a time machine for 6 weeks. I haven't been here for 6 weeks. How are you doing?
I'm hanging on by a thread, man.
Are you and
Hanging on
you
by a
and
thread.
Justin like spooning in the evenings together, talking about
Spooning,
double
sporking,
rainbows,
sporking. It's all bad.
sparking? Mustak said next month, but it'll go by like 2 days. Yes. So Mustak is booked. I've got a whole Twitch lineup. It's gonna be great, and I have money in my safe waiting to give to all of them if they can take it.
One thing I've noticed about these games is that there's not enough check raising going on by a lot of players, especially boards that really connect with their range. Like in the last one, you saw like an ace king.
On the
just-
flop, you mean, or
yeah,
just
on flops.
On flops, okay.
You should have a pretty high check raise frequency,
Wow!
and
Don't blow my mind. Like, so talk to me about that.
on connected boards like that, like we just saw in the last one, like ace king leading and then ace jack just folding. The
In
reason ace
position?
king gets to the reason ace king gets to lead is because ace jack's not punishing him with the hands with bluffs. Like a backdoor hit, or I don't know if it was she or he, but someone had a backdoor flush draw.
80 on 10-8-3 he had ace jack spades. Yeah, so there's one spade there. He had two overs backdoor spade draw.
Yeah, so it seems like a reasonable spot. Not saying that's a perfect spot, but another reasonable spot that you can go ahead and check raise. You're blocking, jacks and aces in their in their range, and then you also have a backdoor straight draw, backdoor flush draw, and you punish them for just c-betting ace king there. Ace king should be checking back most of the time.
I'm about as uncomfortable with hearing you say that as like the time I figured out there's no God. It's just, I'm uncomfortable. I'm just like, it's crazy to me.
Proper 3-bet. Always welcome in our chat. Love having you here. 5-5-10. Speaking of ace king,
Cool
checks
beans.
Anthony.
Yeah, 678 is in our chat often, and he also live streams. He's kind of a beast.
It's a pretty good flop for Kelly. 5-5-10. I mean, I'm sure she preferred to be 5-10-10, but as it is, only one card there. Now, speaking of the checkers, now here's Casey with pocket threes. He gets first at it, and he's going to call, which might put Kelly in a little trickier spot there now with Casey check calling,
Now, what do you do
10-5-5.
with your Kelly?
kicking Casey in the
Over.
shin.
Casey in the shin.
It really is an awkward spot because this is a straddle pot, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so you're in a little bit of a bloated pot, so you are in an awkward spot here having to overcall with nines, but I think you're probably going along for one street. Just because the person in position is obviously going to be c-betting a lot of their range as a bluff, and then the person behind is going to realize that call, and so you just have to overcall
She
with a fair
folded.
amount.
Okay, I don't think that's the word. Like I said, it's not for spot. I don't think that's the worst fold there by
Yeah.
Kelly. If had Casey let go of the threes, I think she's calling nines all day long now on 5-5-10.
Yeah, I don't mind the fold by nines. I don't mind a call.
Yeah.
Either way, I think it's pretty close.
Flip a coin and hate life either way. Six of clubs on the turn, queen
What
of
do you think
diamonds.
of that? So Anthony checks on the turn after he's been checked to by Casey.
And that's
What?
a problem with c-betting ace king there. Is what do you if you're gonna c-bet ace king there? I mean, it seems like a hand that you should be three-barreling. I mean, it has so much showdown value. Why would you c-bet ace king right there? Unless people are just folding too often. If they're folding too often, then why not?
Well, I think
three-barrel
that's
it?
and a lot of teams you'll find players will get rid of threes, sevens, sixes, eights, and so in that case, then
Well, one thing to note too,
He's about
the
to call
board's
ace high.
5-5-10 here. On the button, you should have a lot more fives than the small blind flatting range. Small
Anthony
blind
just-
flatting range is going to be really condensed with a lot of middling pairs and like king jack, king queen type hands.
Broadway cards, yeah.
Him, he just called with ace high. What a trying to be a hero online.
So Casey led 225 with threes on that board.
Yeah.
All right, Casey's got some problems, but he's my hero now.
Anthony, call your mother. Go get a bologna sandwich. You'll be okay. Shake it
So
off.
Casey, I feel like if you're talking about trying to get your hands like sixes, sevens, eights, and something like that, it almost kind of feels like that's what Casey did there. Like when he check calls threes, and after Anthony checks back the turn, I feel like a lot of times if like I said you talk about ace king being a three-barreling hand there. My kind of default strategy or play, if I don't have a lot of showdown value on the turn, and I was a pre-flop aggressor and fired and c-bet flop, I'm c-betting or continue to c-bet turn, and but you have a lot of players will check back the turn, I find, with some semblance of showdown value. Like I said, Ace King in nut showdown, nut no pair showdown value.
Well, in weaker poker games, you're going to see a lot more back-end aggression rather than front-end aggression. So you'll see someone like that, they'll open up with Ace King and then check back turn and then reopen rivers with it. And, you know, it makes it really easy against decent players. They just slow play or, you know, check call with, you know, King 10 and then check call river to balance their range pretty well, you know. Or you can, you know, lead small, but I still don't think leading with Ace King is the proper play there. It's there's so much showdown value.
Can you talk to me about, so Mustak asked, can you talk to me about your balance between check raising, between bluffs, semi-bluffs, and value hands? Because with a lot of my value, I want to keep the players bluffing and not end the hand on the flop. So it seems that it would make my flop check range more heavy on the bluff side of things.
So picking the right bluffs in a check raise scenario, picking the right bluffs is really key, and you usually want to be raising with a very polarized range. So a lot of the nuts and the top end of your range, and then the bottom end of your range. And the best bottom end of your range is going to be like bottom pair type hands, gut shots, stuff that don't have a lot of EV. It's really hard for them to be plus EV hand without raising them. So you want to balance your really strong hands with your like gut shots and bottom pairs and like bottom pair plus draw type things.
And again, you're talking about in position, right?
We'll check raise.
Check raising.
Oh, check raising. Okay.
Yeah.
Check raising. Okay. Coolio. I feel like my IQ's just gone up from like 80 to maybe 84.
See, that's the fun of studying theory. Is you know you get to see all that type of stuff. That's awesome.
It's so great.
It's so fun. It really is.
And not rewarding at
There's
all.
so many programs. There's so many programs these days that you can use to study.
PO
too.
solver.
Yeah, there's several solvers out there these days. There's a lot of CREV where you know you can build your own ranges and learn how to balance on there yourself. There's a lot of stuff that you can do, and I don't think a lot of people, like you were saying earlier, a lot of people don't spend the time studying, and that's going to be the difference in 5 or 10 years when the computing power gets to that point. In 5 or 10 years,
Yeah.
it's going to be whoever studied now.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's like people who,
It's whoever has David's phone number that can.
yeah, people still have flip phones, man.
Hit
They're
up a
like,
brother,
what,
like-
Snapchat?
Well, I hope the bots don't take over the game online. I'm gonna have to come play some live poker.
I thought they
Actually,
already did.
you actually might have to make a live
Aren't you a
read.
bot? Aren't you a bot? I have to peel back the skin to see if there's like a boop, boop, boop
So-
underneath.
Was this a limp off the button, or was that another straddle? Are they straddling from the
I think no. There's no straddle on the button. So I think it was folded to the button, which Kelly opened, and Kevin flatted any queens pre. Disco on the river. Kevin's queens get there.
Unless she's got queen king. But that's it.
It's a very interesting river.
Back now, spades get there as well, and Kevin's gonna fire out. 325 in the pot, and Kevin bets 160.
It's interesting that he donk leads here. Again, another spot that he's going to be very off balance. If he has queens here, then what does he have in his checking range? Is he check raising flushes maybe? It's so hard to be balanced when you're just going to lead. And if you're going to, I think you can use a lot of hands as a bluff here and just go really, really large.
Well, that's just it. And she's. Now that you'd ever would feel like, and this hand, because you have queens, like, not like you need to turn your hand to a bluff, but if Kevin had, some other hand, if he had a hand like ace 8, turning it into a bluff there probably wouldn't be the worst spot. I mean, that's a great card to fire.
Got some value.
Yeah, and he got value. I can't see what Kelly had.
2 pair, 8 or jack 10.
Humor me
something
here.
like that.
Humor me, okay? Because I play in the lower stakes cash games, and I see a lot of guys, like we just saw Kevin lead out on the river with the nuts, essentially the nuts in that hand. And do you ever overanalyze the hand where you just have to just give them credit for playing their hand? They say, okay, I've got my hand, I'm just gonna bet my hand, and that's it? Because I feel like sometimes I overanalyze the hand and I end up making the wrong move because I'm thinking that they're playing.
You're leveling yourself.
Yes, I'm leveling myself. Do you ever level yourself with this? Do you ever overdo it?
Yeah, I think every player does. I think to some extent, I think really trying to get to the point where you're not leveling yourself is, really understanding what the ranges are.
That's
doing,
when the
how
aura,
ranges-
the white aura comes out.
It feels good.
And you're in
You
the
have these
matrix.
when you have these big breakthroughs in poker. Everybody has the breakthroughs. Even beginners have breakthroughs. And
Absolutely.
There's spots and there's times in your game. Like I spent the last 3 days studying off the felt, and I had so many huge breakthroughs about bet sizing that I did with other that I was when I was studying with other people. That I never thought I was going to get to that point again. Like it just keeps going. It always occurs again.
That's awesome.
There's that word. You haven't been watching enough. How awesome is his cutoff word?
No, it's not. It is. It is.
So here with small blind and the cutoff, I was gonna say if the queen 10 was in position, another board where you're probably pretty polarized, you should be checking back, but he's not in position.
377 May 1 champ. Tweet me and we'll talk about it. I think I might have a seat open for you. If anyone wants to tweet me, my name is the same as it is on Twitch, angry_Polak.
So that was interesting there. On Queen 6-3-2 diamonds, 80 led into Kelly, who had min raised out of the cutoff. Or no, it wasn't. There was no straddle, so she made it 20 to go, 9-7 off. 80 led, and Kelly popped him on the flop. 80 called.
Did he
and
lead?
80 led 30. Kelly made it 90 to go on the flop. 80 calls, and now check the 8 of hearts, which gives Kelly an open-ended straight draw. 80 check calls 105. Diamonds get there.
Now you don't have any. If you're Kelly, you don't have any diamonds in your hand, so you're not blocking any flushes. And the type of hands you really want to use as a triple barrel bluff here are going to be ones with one diamond.
So
Yeah.
I've heard other commentators on other shows talk about how you shouldn't talk about blockers in Hold'em. Blockers are simply meant for Omaha. Do you agree with that?
Well, I think I think if you're not being punished by your opponents, blockers are almost irrelevant. But against good opponents, and that's why I say I like to come from a theory perspective, because I play against a lot of opponents that'll punish me, and so that's where I come from, But if they're not going to punish you, then it doesn't really matter what you. Sometimes you can just get away with betting 100% of your
What do
range.
you mean by punishing you? Like
Well,
smacking your ass?
if I'm betting pot, right? If I'm betting pot, then they're getting 33%. They're getting 2-to-1 pot odds at 33%. They
Yeah.
have to, right? And so if they're folding at a frequency opposite to that, so 67%, then I'm automatically profiting with any 2 cards in my range. So I can just go crazy. So they have to defend at minimum defense frequency, which is just what you have to defend to not get exploited. So, and a lot of people don't do that. They're so off balance, and therefore their ranges are in certain spots. You can just bluff any 2 cards, and yeah. So I saw a Mastak said, I think having a good sense of pre-flop ranges is vital to accurate and tuned in post-flop play, and I do agree with that. The one thing about pre-flop play is, or post-flop play is, it's all really going to depend on your assumptions of their pre-flop ranges.
Again, the psychology with optimal, not game theory, but optimal.
Well, I mean, it doesn't matter if
Optimal
it's
is-
exploitative play or not. If someone's always 3-betting, right? If say they only 3-bet aces, right?
Yeah.
And then you go to a post flop play in a 3-bet pot with them, then you know they only have aces,
Yeah.
right? So you can play correctly against that exploitatively.
Play perfectly.
Yeah. So or optimally too. It's same difference there.
I was wrong. There is a God, and you're it.
But yeah, so when I speak about like blockers and stuff like that, I'm only coming from a theoretical sense. Against certain opponents, I've mentioned it a couple times. Against certain opponents, you can just
Yeah.
get away with just going crazy, going ham on them.
Yeah. And that's fun. Sometimes they really. I've got 2 cards, and you're gonna fold. You just put some chips out. And
1-2 game theory optimal. I've got 2
This
cards.
is probably like,
And I'm not gonna
no,
look.
this is spots where like I'm thinking to myself like my line makes no sense at all, but he just
He
never
doesn't.
like
He's not noticing at
yeah,
all.
he's not thinking about that. He's just frowning at his cards right now.
Yeah, he just wants to eat French fries. And Garland. Garland's hair's gotten a little longer, a little fuzzier.
Zen Ducks,
And-
what's up, Zen Ducks?
Right
How you
on.
doing?
Who doesn't like to go crazy? See,
Who's
he
Zendex?
knows what's up.
I've seen him in my stream. He hangs out with me in my stream sometimes.
Zendux, then maybe well, I've only watched your stream twice, so who am I, right?
Well, I don't stream too much anymore, so.
Why?
So it's just
Baby.
I have a family. I have not just the baby, but I have another daughter. Hi, Anna, if she's watching.
Oh, hi Anna.
80 opens the button here to 20. Garland puts a 3-bet in with pocket 8s out of the small blind and then jams flop.
So Garland, I don't know if you've watched when Garland's been on previously, but Garland always buys in short and kind of jams flop. I noticed that.
Okay, well, I mean, there's no rule on to what you need to buy in for or what you need to have at the table. I think a lot of people make the assumption that you need a big stack at the table to get a bunch of value, and there's no rule about
You have
that.
to adjust your play. I mean, realize what your implied odds are how they're gonna change, and depending
Or
on how deep
not
stacks
have them
are.
anymore.
Exactly. I mean,
Some players are short stack professionals, and they do really well at short stack.
I haven't met them.
I actually talk about like, a lot of tournament players that try to cross over into cash games, and I think they're really better off playing shorter stacks because they're so accustomed to tournament play, where you're generally playing 40, 60, 20 bigs deep, and crossing over to cash game play where you're 100, 200 bigs deep for the entire session.
It's a lot different.
It's a very different style of poker.
I had a question for you during our last live stream when we had the tournament, and I'll ask you as well. So, and if it's crazy, that's fine. I don't mind looking crazy online. But you know how we're talking about? Now I totally forgot. Like being short stacked in a tournament, and you've got your implied odds, but everyone's short stacked. So, but then, let's say everyone's got 20 big blinds or less, and you're basically throwing implied odds out the window because you don't have that many big blinds, but your hands should have more value, your worse hands, because you have to put the pressure on yourself to pick up blinds and all that stuff. So how do you balance that?
They can't exploit you by re-bluffing you because your stack's not deep enough to bluff you off hands.
Yeah. You just can't fold, certain hands. Same thing there. So you lose implied odds and implied value with small pocket pairs, city connectors, and things like that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I said, if you open a hand like 7 or something like that, like I said, people they lose the ability to re-bluff you because
of your stack.
Because you're
And their
priced in.
stack.
you're
Because
pricing.
you're
You're just gonna call off and.
And that's the thing
hate
about
it.
a lot of tournament poker. I don't play a ton of tournaments, but I have studied a lot of in the past, and I think a lot of people make the mistake of tightening up when they get short stack, and I think it should be the exact opposite. Because you're less exploitable when you're short stacked, for that exact reason, you should be opening up more hands, playing more hands when you're short stacked.
So I guess it's not necessarily called implied odds at that point.
Well, implied is down the road,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
it's implied.
But people, in theory, they should be. They're gonna be opening up or 3-betting you stronger because they have less fold equity. So they can't be.
Did they tell you on the way here to humor me?
No.
Okay, humor me.
So here we see Garland. He makes 25 to go out of the cutoff with pocket 5s. Anthony, this I believe was a straddle, not a straddle. No, this is not a straddle pot. Anthony had limped. No, this was straddle. I'm sorry. So $10 straddle was on. Anthony had the straddle. Garland made it 2.5x to go pre with 5s. Anthony calls king queen, and on 9-4 deuce, 2 clubs.
Interesting that he goes to 25. Does he always open on the top?
I
of
didn't
the
think.
straddle?
I think. I don't. Maybe he didn't realize or immediately recognize that the pot was straddled there. Because I think Garland probably intended to open 5x there, not.
Okay.
Not 2.5x. Yeah.
I thought he was just telling the strength of his hand by opening to 2.5x, and that's really it gets really tough to balance pre-flop sizings. Like it should be done, again optimally. You go back to like a pre-flop thing, and it can be done, and that's what will be done in the future. You'll see a lot of. In the future, you're going to see a lot of mixing on sizings. I assume pre-flop, but until then, you're going to first see
Polarizing your larger size and pre with the 2 aces or 3-4 suited or whatever.
Exactly.
In the year 2000.
But you'll see it
guys are
start
too
from
young
the
for that.
river and go the other way, because the river is going to be the most important thing to work on in your game because it has the largest size pot, so the EV of each play is going to be the biggest.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. I actually had a couple of discussions with a couple friends recently about pre-flop sizing, and I always try to be balanced. We're opening up all my hands the same size to not be exploitable. Something that someone said at most of these stakes, players just aren't paying that close of attention. And so the comment was made that you probably actually might be losing value by taking your larger holdings pre, or not open up your bigger holdings larger pre. And players at these stakes might, even though you think it's just so glaringly obvious to someone who's like thinking, paying attention to the game, trying to like concentrate on what's going
Not
on.
paying attention.
The players just
it's
are
all
not
in vain,
realizing
yeah.
if they're gonna call 3x with their hand, they're gonna call 5x or so.
Let's go 5x.
Yeah, why not go 5x?
Yeah,
You know?
I
They're
think
not paying
that's-
attention
I
to
think
the
that's
pod, yeah.
100% correct. If they're gonna call it, do it.
Yeah.
It's like
I just
over-
have a hard time, like, I'm sitting there in the game and I'm just like, okay, if I'm opening 6-7 suited, or 9-10 suited, or pocket 5s or 4s, to this sizing, and then when I pick up aces, kings, or queens, I just naturally, hey, to stay balanced, I try to keep the same size opening. But players have brought a lot of these guys don't even notice they're not even paying attention. They're just looking whether or not their hand's playable or not.
It's interesting. I've been studying a lot of multiple sizings on flops lately because I've already studied a little bit of unbravers, turns, and now I'm working backwards, and I've got to flops, and I was actually studying flop overbets today, which was really interesting. I found out a lot of interesting mixes between when I say a board's polarized and what programs like to do. They like to overbet with very polarized range, and I think you'll see that in the future.
I do that by accident.
Not sure how soon you'll see it live, but it'll get there.
It'll trickle down effect.
It will.
Eventually it'll get there.
1011er, I know it's a LOLer. I've renamed him. Thank you for noticing my obscure reference to Conan O'Brien, which these guys are obviously too
How did
young.
they went way over, man. I love Conan O'Brien. What?
In the year 2000. You don't remember the flashlight before, even 1999? In the year 2000. And they would talk about foreshadowing the future.
I got a funny story to tell you about, actually today, watching Conan O'Brien today that came up with my kids in the room. I can't say it on air on the stream, but I'll tell you, it's yeah.
Yeah, tell us
you'll
about
appreciate
something
it.
that you can't tell us.
I'll mention it on the stream and then tell you how I can't tell you about it, and then
So I have a question here.
good for that.
Are the players they're able to listen to the commentary?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
While they're playing, yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if anything has changed or that.
Yeah, they usually give us death threats towards the end of the stream. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that changes. That puts some leveling effect in there. That would be.
Oh, absolutely.
It can.
It's really, really great where, 25, 30 minutes after a hand has happened, you should look over at the guy who just pushed out the pot and you're like, yeah.
So Anthony in seat 9 is one player that's used this live stream to his benefit and watches himself, improves his game, and he's listening to us as he's playing.
In seat 9.
Yes.
Okay. And I see seat 4 with headphones in there, so I'm assuming he's.
He's probably listening to some rap music or something.
Oh.
AD, come on.
I
AD.
was thinking smooth jazz, but.
Smooth
Yeah,
jazz.
he looks like a smooth jazz kind of guy.
Maybe some techno. He looks like he goes to raves.
1011er, he just gets me. This is awesome. It's right, Jake. Awesome.
The cutoff. He knows about awesome. It's the cutoff word.
The game's keeping up at a pretty good pace. From the other end, from behind a computer, it's it's
slow for
it's a
you,
little
right?
bit slower.
Yeah.
From this side, it goes pretty fast.
That's why you need a good Polish woman tell good jokes. Do you get bored watching our stream?
No, not at all.
Yeah,
Not
see,
at
because
all.
we're awesome.
Very awesome.
You're like, oh god,
used
I've
that
seen you
word
in
again.
person.
There it is. Bill makes it 40 to go pre Queen 7 of diamonds. It's a 7-high flop, it looks like. Where's our flop?
Now, Bill opened the button Reggie opened the button. Is that correct?
Okay, yeah, I guess Bill folded it. I thought he had called it. So yeah, Reggie opened the button, Casey called, and on 7-4-3, Casey's top. He checked with Reggie. Reggie C-bets 55 here.
This is a good spot to be check raising with backdoor flush draw and A7 top pair top kicker. You can do a few things with this hand. You could do a check. You're gonna have 5-6 in your range. You're gonna have 3s, 4s, 7s. Both players are going to, but you can use this as a check raise, check call type hand, or a check raise barrel off on heart type hand. There's a few things you could do. I probably wouldn't go too crazy with just top pair here, but probably, you got to think about those things in game. You should be thinking about those things.
You ever dive into string theory?
I don't know what that is.
Look into it. You should be an astrophysicist. What are you doing playing poker?
Having a good time, living the dream.
It's all those college kids
I
who
think-
went to college to study string theory to drop down and start playing poker.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I think Jake should go into theoretical physics or computer science.
I think
Or run a petting zoo, like one of the two.
Yeah, or run a.
You look like a petting zoo type guy.
My husband is a rocket scientist, essentially, aerospace engineer, and in his high school test, you know, what's the proficiency test or whatever, they told him
Yeah.
he was supposed to be a florist.
They never told me what I was supposed to be.
No? They just said you're going to drop out, you're a
So
loser.
you're supposed to be a petting,
Yeah.
You're supposed to be a petting zoo operator.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, see, like with A7, I think like I really like a check raise here, to be honest, just because you deny equity from hands that like deceive it, like King 8.
This
like,
is really, really interesting here. Casey, who had just called the A7 on the flop, now leads 250 on the turn when the queen comes off.
Oh, wow.
Jesus Dad, welcome to the chat. If you have any questions regarding optimal play or game theory optimal play, there's a difference. Feel free to ask 678, and then if you want some OK analysis, Jake's here too.
I'm a life coach.
Yeah.
If you need to know what you need to do with your
Tequila, man. That's how you get through life.
barrel some tequila. when in doubt, sobriety's hard.
678 actually has his own Twitch live stream. Hopefully he can get back into streaming more often. Are you going to come back to us?
Maybe.
But then you have to get away from studying and then go back and playing. So it's like,
It takes a
we
lot
talk
of
about
time.
that balance.
It takes a lot of time, and it's tough to run a live stream. So
Some of us enjoy trolling you though.
trolling is so fun, isn't it?
Yeah. It's
love
so
it.
weird when you like actually look at the person. Like, oh, you're not as sexy as I pictured you in my dreams every night. I'm not talking about you. Bill's got queens. Here we go. The thing is, Bill is a snug player, and he doesn't get a lot of actions on his big hands.
It's interesting because I do actually remember that name being a snug player from previous live streams, and I mean, if you can identify a player as snug and remember a name that easily, then it's just going to be so easy to play against them. They're,
I
sit
only-
down at a table and
I only remember him because he's so handsome. And there he goes, yeah, he raises and takes it. And it's unfortunate because queens, you want a little bit of action.
and you get action by putting in other types of suited connectors in there, or
Yeah.
suited aces are good raising hands. Just open your range up a little bit. It helps you get action.
Yeah.
If you don't have bluffs, you're not going to get action with your value hands.
Jesus, Dad, welcome to the stream. You are not our savior. How are you Jesus' dad? Jesus is his own dad, is he not?
Only if you believe in the Trinity. I'll explain. We'll get into religious like game theory after this. I'll explain that all.
No, I'm fine. I took mythology in high school. I'm okay. I'm
So
not-
I think AD's got a $25 straddle on right here. Garland, yeah, it's 5-5-25,
because AD's in this game. It's
and
always
Garland
great.
makes it 45 to go with tens.
It's interesting, just a tiny rate, and that's what it was before. Remember, it was the 2.5x, and now
Yeah.
he's not even going 2x. Or yeah, he's going 2x on top of the straddle, which is very interesting because I'm wondering if he goes any larger with like aces or ace king type hands, and then it would be just a glaring tail.
And AD, never one to hate a Jack 10.
Oh, gotta defend the jack 10.
Of course, out of position too. And this is a great flop. AD can donk bet into this, as you guys all say. No?
So I think he should be on this board. Like Garland should be checking back his tens here, and he should also be checking back weak aces and most of his kings here to balance those tens that check back well.
80 check calls 75.
Talk to me about C betting.
This is gonna go check, and I wouldn't be surprised to see 80 barrel river.
That's the problem with betting tens and then going check on turn and then getting bluffed off your tens. When you had showdown value, you could have checked back, and then you're going to get value from bluffs again with your ace, like
Correct.
A7 or ace 6.
But then it's kind of the opposite of what you were saying, because most of the pressure has been on in the early part of the hand.
Well, you're taking the pressure
that-
off with your weaker hands or your medium strength hands.
And look, we called it for as soon as this went check call on the flop. We called that it was gonna go check turn, and then Bluff River. Obviously it's easy for us. We can see the cards and see the holdings. We know players' kind of betting patterns and behaviors. But like you're saying, checking back tens there, probably would have been better off for Garland.
AD.
Well, and
When you check back turns,
when you check back tens, you also want to be checking back your medium strength aces and your kings
Yeah.
to balance out
Check
those
back
to
ace
be able to
check back
call
ace
when
five,
people
yeah.
fire against you.
yeah.
AD also has that out of position beast mode button, and that's when he turned on for that hand. That was pretty nice. Out of position. I mean, it wasn't a great flop for Garland.
No, it's a terrible flop for Garland. And I mean, against a player like Hitty, who's more than willing to put all the pressure in the world on you. It's just.
And AD played it well. I mean, I think there's not much of a reason to be raising the Jack 10 on the flop because you don't have aces in your range. You don't have ace king in your range. So why would you be check raising that flop often? You're not. You're going to be check calling that flop more often.
Jesus' dad, please don't talk about Jake's beard being fantastic. We don't want to, like, his head can barely
Jesus'
get in
dad
the door.
just.
His head can barely get in the door. It's so big.
So
It's
one
glistening.
otter.
1011er says, what are your thoughts on 3-betting light and soft low limit games against scared money?
I think if you're isolating someone that is a fish, or I think flatting a lot of hands is good in soft games because you want to allow fish into the pots.
Let him make mistakes.
Let them make the mistakes. But if there's good players behind you, I think it's great to isolate fish. It's also good
Push
if
stronger
you know
players
they're
on
going
the
to be if they're going to be calling wide and then check folding
Check
flop.
folding.
Then you want to be 3-betting them like crazy because it's just going to be so valuable. So I think it's a good play. I think it really depends on all the variables. You know, you have to look at the table.
Can you be
stack
exploited
sizes.
though when you start doing that? If someone's good enough at the table?
Well, you can be exploited by only 3-betting aces because people just fold to you when you 3-bet aces. You know, so you want to have bluffs in there.
I just don't know anything anymore, man. You're killing me. Jesus Christ, God Almighty.
Tonight must be sandwich night.
She's gonna. Veronica's gonna come out of this like with her mind in such like a spin and like a whirl. She's gonna be so like leveled that she's gonna go out there and just like play face up. I can't wait.
I can't. Yeah, I'm gonna play blackjack tonight. That's what I'm gonna do.
Get out of here. Like that's it. The Martingale.
There
Ship
goes the
it.
bankroll.
I can't think anymore. And then I'll go back to playing bad.
So there's no straddle on this hand. Under the gun +3. Anthony makes it 20 to go with Jack 9 of clubs.
Nice raise.
Garland on the button. I'm sorry, no, Garland had the big blind, the suited king. AD, small blind with 7 tray off. Kick rocks, beat me.
Oh, he flats from the small blind. Man, he is getting.
He's got the sickness. It's beautiful.
Hey, 80's a beautiful thing.
Ace 10 Jack.
Again, one of those boards that c-betting is probably not the best thing, but if he has such
For
a wide
Anthony
range,
or for AD?
Anthony.
yeah, for Anthony, the thing is, well, being that it's AD, having such a wide range, if you know he has 7-3 off in his range, then c-betting 100% of your range is going to be super profitable because he's just going to have to check fold a lot of those hands in that way.
Okay.
Right? But against like a good player, or I'm not going to say he's not good, but I'm just saying like someone that's really, their ranges are really well balanced pre-flop and they're not like too tight, too loose, you want to be checking back the showdown type value hands right there.
You never get an ace to fold. It's not on that board. It's hard to get better to fold in that spot
And value from worse.
and value counters. It's really good luck trying to find someone that was specifically Jack 8, Jack 7, or 10, 8, 10, 9.
And that's a really good thing to think when you're actually deciding whether to bet or not. Is do I get called by worse hands or do I get better to fold?
Yeah,
those are like that's a really
Poker
good
1,
statement.
like right there. Like
Yeah.
if you boil everything down, I think
I wouldn't say
feel like
that's
just
poker 101. I
Well-
think that's like pretty advanced, a relative.
profitable poker
to-
101.
Yeah, profitable poker. There we go. That's probably the best way to put it.
If, I really
Relative to the playing field, I think most players are not thinking like that. I think players are still betting to protect their hand most of the time.
Players are. So here we go, a fun little hand.
So you're missing live poker. It's so easy.
No one said it was so easy. I'll sit down in the game and get owned.
80's gonna check all 20 from Kelly. 9 on the turn. Here we go. So 80 makes a pair of 9s go along with his diamond draw. Kelly picks up an open-ended straight draw.
Now was the flop c-bet by Kelly?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Check back call on the flop. So here now, no, not check back call. Kelly led, and 80 called in position.
And now
so
he's
now
checking.
she checks.
Or she.
Kelly checks. Yeah, 80's in position. 80's on the button. So Kelly checks. 80 bets 50.
I don't see like a check call being plus EV here, because how are you going to play the pot on the river once you miss, if you do miss, you know? So like I don't think check folding is going to be the greatest option either. I mean, unless you have a really good read, I think just leading the turn, you picked up value with your open-ended straight draw. Let's go ahead and just fire the turn.
Sure.
How many deuces is he going to? Well, it is AD. He could have some deuces in his range.
I'm gonna ask you a question. I'm going to go out on the limb of potentially sounding stupid, and I'm okay because it's all I do. So I understand how you can cap your range pre-flop, but talk to me about when you're against an opponent, how they've capped their range, what type of things they do post-flop on the flop for you to know that they've capped their range. You know what I mean? Like someone limping and then calling someone else's range, like they've
Limping and then flatting and then capping pre.
But post flop or on the flop.
That's a good question. I'm trying to think of a scenario. Well, I mean, it's tough to like nail down a scenario, but you know, obviously, if people are playing highly mixed strategies, you know, when I say mixing, it means like you know, doing a certain percentage of the time with a netted hand, and then doing it like taking a check call line with a hand a certain percentage of the time, and then the other percentage of the time betting out with it. If you have two ranges there, then you need to be like mixing, and some players don't do mixing, and they don't protect the right ranges, and then a certain run out will come where they are capped, and or it'll just be a matter of range advantage. Some person has aces in their range, and the other person doesn't because they flatted, and the board comes ace king 5, and the turn comes a blank. Well, I can overbet against him because he just doesn't have any strong hands in his range, and he's capped.
Okay.
And that's where the overbets really come in useful. And I don't think enough people use them. I think that's a really big thing in no limit poker is utilizing the overbet. And the overbet, what I probably shouldn't be saying this, but no, it's fine. Geometric bet sizing with versus capped ranges when you have an uncapped range. So if you have a hand with 100% equity, meaning it's going to win at some point in the hand, like if you have 4 of a kind, stuff like that, or the nuts on the turn, a nut full house on the turn type of stuff, you want to be balancing it with bluffs, but overbet geometrically on each street to get your stack all in is pretty much all.
And I'm getting so I look at my phone.
I don't think enough people use it.
I look at my
phone.
So I think that you're playing really at an advanced level. The way you're talking about the theory of the game, I think in 5 years, if people are not thinking the way you're thinking, I think they're going to be destroyed in the game. Because as poker has progressed, and now the bottom feeders are so much better than they were before. Definitely, and the way you're explaining the game, I feel like if we're not constantly practicing to get ourselves thinking the way you're talking, we're gonna be the bottom feeders. No, Jake?
I concur.
The continuation of the progression of the game. I mean, people who
I think there's a lot. I don't think there's very many people that like putting in the study work, to be honest.
No.
I
was just kind of leading this discussion with Veronica earlier. There's some bottom line, you give them this piece, a little tidbit, that, and there's some people they just want to win. They don't want to learn. They don't want to put in the work to get there.
Yeah.
You know, they just want to run good.
So it's the people that are going to excel that are putting in the work right now. I think maybe I said it wrong a little bit earlier, but the people that are going to excel in the future games. I think the games are going to get tougher as everybody's going to have a better sense of what to do. And like you said, the fish are going to get better, and the fish have got better.
people used to
So we
play
got
face up.
we got a fun hand developing on King Deuce 8, 2 spades. We go multi-way to the turn, which a club peels off, giving both Anthony and Peter flush draws. Bill has a spade draw. 9 of diamonds peels off, and Reggie, with 9-8, the one player in the hand without a flush draw, has backdoor 2 pair here, which unless by some happenstance gets pushed off his hand, I don't see how on this board he gets pushed off. Should take down this pot.
Now, is that Reggie leading out? Right?
That is Reggie leading out. Reggie leads for 160.
So I've noticed a real high frequency of leading in these types of games with nutted type hands in the river, or maybe not even nutted, but like just hands they don't want to miss value with. And I think for players watching the stream that play in the game, that's a huge tell. Like that's huge. A lot of players are doing that. You can just exploitatively fold against most players.
Yes.
You know, there might be a
Yeah.
lot.
Oh yeah.
Money you don't lose, the same as money you earn. And
River
yeah.
bluffing is so rare in these lower
Live,
level,
and, well,
mid-level.
in live poker, yeah, it's much
Purple
fun.
Sofa says that I hope y'all are listening to 678 dude. Some people spend a lot of money or study a long time to learn these concepts. Yep.
Thank you. Thank you.
Free
Absolutely.
poker lessons right now. Jake's like, what am I, chopped liver? Jake, unfortunately, has this thing where he doesn't want to unleash the full perspective in his mind because he thinks that he's going to give too much away. I think that he should just tell us everything that he's thinking. Maybe ESPN
There's
will
just,
want
there's
you.
just a merry-go-round going on out there. Like,
Yeah.
sorry, like
Maybe
that's-
ESPN will want to
you
pay
found all of it
$300,000
already.
a year.
But like you said, I mean, even with the concepts at your fingertips, being told stuff, a lot of people just don't take it and do the work to find out what types of hands.
After the fact,
scenarios.
they'll recognize. Okay, yeah, I get it. I should have done this. They might get a concept after the fact, and then applying it, moving forward, actually, changing their game.
By the way, we have a low-budget Rick and Barstow over there in the blue shirt. You see that in seat 1 there?
Oh wow, that is a wow.
That's a Rick in
Rick and
Secret
Barstow,
Heights.
your doppelgangers
Your
here with us.
doppelgangers playing.
Here with us at Stone. So this is awesome. Great spot for Peter here. Peter opens up with aces. Anthony puts in a 3-bet out of the big blind with Jack 7 of diamonds.
I love the 3-bet. I don't love the sizing. The 3-bet is kind of, it's actually really good here with Jack 7 because you want to be 3-betting from the big blind with hands that are just below the bottom end of your calling range because, again, the hands that are too weak to call, you want to be raising with, especially out of the big blind.
Yeah.
So Jack 7 falls into that range really well, and I really like the 3-bet here.
I'm just
Maybe
trying
just
to.
revisit the sizing.
So you said just below.
I didn't see that sizing
It
before
was
that. Was at
open
45.
to 45 or open to 35, and then he made it 75.
I think it was open to 30 and then you made it 75.
Open to 30, make it 75.
Yeah, so I would go like more like a 3.5x sizing there,
said
probably
just
like
below
105 or 110.
The lower level of your calling range or your raising range?
Yeah, usually like when you're
So you're opening up your range even more.
usually there's going to be a section of hands that are good enough to call with, right? They're plus EV calls.
Okay.
And then right below those hands are the hands you want to be bluffing with.
3 better fold hands.
Yeah, and that goes for post-flop check raises too. You know, there's going to be a set of hands that are good enough to call with because they have showdown value.
So your range for raise for calling is wider than for raising is wider than it is for calling.
No, not necessarily. It's very dependent, but no.
Okay.
Mainly no. I don't
You have
think
a set
you'll
range.
find
You said, like you said, you feel it's plus you need to make a flat call out of the blind with a certain range of hands. And then, like, so the hands are just weaker than that, turn into kind of 3-bet or fold type hands. Hands you can't profitably flat from and play the hand out of position with, but you can kind of you can turn them into bluffs or semi-bluffs.
I know all these concepts. I'm just asking you questions to clarify for the people.
And then they're on to creating conversation here. Good flop here for Reggie. 10-8 of clubs.
Beautiful.
Jack 9-4, 2 clubs. Kelly has top paired.
If that flop was a girlfriend, I would take her out, Reggie.
I don't like the sizing here, 15 into 50. Just pop it, or put a little bit more pressure on with your hands. And really, the choice of hands betting really small in this flop is just
Disco.
Exactly.
Now Reggie hits the straight on the turn, gives Kelly the inside straight draw to the same straight. Drawing for
essentially
chops.
a chop, yeah.
Drawing for chops. She thinks she can get value from clubs here. She bets really small again here. Makes it 30 to go. Reggie in position.
clicking the pot button. So you can put a lot of pressure on here because she doesn't really have as many, or you wouldn't think she has as many strong hands, but I mean, a call is fine here as well because he's protected from clubs, right?
Yep.
So this is, if you're going to pick a hand to raise with on the turn, like a straight to raise with, the other 3 straights rather than the ones that don't have clubs,
yeah.
are great ones to raise with and then raise some flush draws as well. So now you have straights in your range and your raising range and you have flush draws. And then you can call with this to protect your weak hands.
Correct.
Me.
I think it's a nice way to balance your range there.
Yeah.
It's like, when did they discover that the Earth wasn't flat? It's like I feel like I'm reliving time right
But
now.
the Earth is flat.
Okay, I'm gonna have to kick you out of the booth now.
Kelly bets 40.
We believe in logic and science in this booth. Which is
the-
why
and Reggie
tequila
sticks
is
it to her.
the drink of the gods, right?
Now 120 again is really small. You're giving her really good odds to call here. It's just, I mean, are you ever really doing this with a flush draw, like
it
a busted
looks
flush draw?
super equity.
Like a lot of value,
Like
right?
a value
Yeah.
bet, yeah. Sorry, value bet.
So like, I would like to see something like 360 or 320 here. Just put a lot of pressure on.
Something ridiculous.
Yeah, and-
seemingly
I love
ridiculous.
that.
Yeah.
And then you could also do it with Queen 10 that doesn't have clubs, and you could also do it with some clubs. I wouldn't be going too crazy with clubs because that.
I feel like
those clubs
it's
from there
kind of
can
the
go
new
low.
thing to overbet, overinflate when you've got a lot of equity.
Well, the thing
and
is
make it
even
look
when you're clicking
fluffy.
the pot button and you're betting 320, 360 here, they're just they're still getting 2-to-1 odds on their money. You know, like you still only have to win 33% of the time. You don't really have to win that often when someone raises that big. So what size he was raising, you only have to win like 10, 15, 20% of the, like a very small percentage of the time.
Yeah, Kelly's being laid a ridiculous price there to call off there with the top pair. She doesn't love it. She mostly kind of hates it. But like once again, like you pointed out, she's gotta be right. Like 1 in 5 times, 1 in 6 times.
Yep, and he got value, so maybe a really small bet was exploitatively the correct play.
Oh, Purple Sofa's trying to explain to me what you're saying. What 678 is saying, imagine it like this. My hand on a scale of 1 to 10. In some cases, it's going to be profitable for me to call. All my hands between 5 and 8, I'm going to wait. Want to re-raise a 9, 10 slot. And
then-
go ahead.
And
I thought you were. Well, I thought you could read
And
it.
raise some of the 3 to 4s.
to balance my ranges. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So you add value to the hands that don't have value by sticking them with the hands that have the nuts, you know, when you have a ton of value.
Sometimes when you're sitting at home with a toddler for 6 weeks straight, and then someone like 678 sits next to you and like blows your mind because you've been listening to toddler music for 6 weeks.
Are you calling me a toddler?
Yes. No, my son. Then you're just like, oh my god, I haven't used my brain in 6 weeks.
80 makes it 30 to go with pocket eights. Casey defends a small blind with ace jack off. Ace queen 4.
Unexceptional rounder is one of my study buddies. We've been working pretty hard the last few days, and I think he's needling me right now.
You know, don't you think it's really important to have people surrounding you that have the same goals as you? When I was playing poker in Canada, I feel like my game was always the same and a very, very poor level of playing because I had people around me that were like, oh, just bet for protection, man. And that was it. And like, we never spoke in depth about poker. Don't you think it's important, now I have Jake, to have people around you that have similar thoughts about the game and about theory? No?
I'm sorry, I missed it.
I love it. No, that's something that Veronica and I were talking about, like having
Christ.
good people and people that you can around you that you can talk poker with and balance
Do you want
hands
to do
off.
body shots?
Yeah. People that you can grow together with, I guess, so to speak. But like, people around you that you can talk hands with, talk about
Helps
theory.
so much.
So, yeah, so much. And I've talked about it with several friends of mine that one of my biggest struggles trying to come up through poker over the years was, and I'm not trying to pat myself on the back here, is that I didn't have any friends that were better than me, and it restricted my growth because I just couldn't talk to them about poker because it was just like
You really want to hang
You
out
had the bet for protection friends?
I had bet for protection
Me
friends.
too, yeah.
You want to hang out with the people that are better than you, obviously.
Exactly,
You
yeah.
want to learn more.
It's like
but-
buying real estate. You don't want to buy, the
Do you
nicest
want to
house
be
in
our
the worst
friend? That's what
neighborhood.
we're asking if you want to be our friend.
Well, see, we have a study Skype group, and we have. I'm really strict with letting people in the group, and
But today you're going to give out the
very
code.
very easy to kick people out that don't contribute enough. And the thing is, we just don't want freeloaders coming in and grabbing that information and
Yeah.
just
Sure.
running off.
And not contributing.
Because
yeah.
it's expensive information.
And you could spend a lot of money on
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes. $300 an hour,
Spend a lot of
Jonathan
money
Little.
finding it out the hard way.
it. Yep.
Although you could learn it all yourself. There's a lot of information out there. If you want to improve your cash game poker, you could always go on Crush Live Poker. They break down hands, which I think is awesome because sometimes you just need to be walked through a hand and not just talk about it, but stop a hand, talk exactly about the moment. Some people are like that. They need to learn that way.
Yeah, having a specific example to refer to.
Oh.
Dirty turn card.
Man, that one's nasty.
80 pegs a 4 right on the turn. Peter still open-ended.
Is AD the one with his head bobbing?
Yep.
Yep.
A little bit.
I wonder if that's a live tell.
Yeah.
And 80's gonna fire right out at him. 355 in the pot. And 80 bets 220.
Peter still has equity in the hand. The hand is not over.
Yeah, I mean, he needs right around 5-1 calling with an open into a straight draw against, against most hands, I should say. So I don't think he's deep enough to be calling there, is he? Like 860. He's close. It's close to like.
It's really close.
Barely over break even if you're gonna get paid off with your whole stack.
Now, if he thinks that there's some hands that he can bluff and take away, let's say that if he thought he can take away, backdoor hearts getting there, then you could probably, more justly defend or justify calling there on the turn of an open straight draw. I think he has some bluff cards. I think it's easier to do that when there's a more overwhelmingly apparent flush draw that was on the flop initially than a backdoor flush draw that gets there, as in this case. I mean, 80 leads out, Peter folds, takes some pot. But I mean, having bluff outs, aside from the odds to hit your actual hand, is a big factor there too.
And those are the best types of hands to be bluffing are when flushes come because they're the most apparent.
Yeah, stick out like a sore thumb. And everyone in poker, we're all such damaged souls from all the bad beats, playing poker over the years that we just the flush card gets there and we see it and we're like, God,
check
how did it happen to me again? How did I run so bad? How am I so unlucky?
Tell me, put your future glasses on and tell me in 10 years, how profitable will ABC poker be?
What do you mean by ABC?
ABC, like, as
just nitty poker, just sitting down at the table playing very
yeah,
straightforward,
kind of,
not having enough bluffs in your range type of thing.
Exactly. Guys that go
Not
to the World
balancing
Series
well.
of Poker still kind of make money because there's enough gamblers.
Fish.
Yeah, there are a lot of fish, but in 10 years, like how the game has progressed in the past 10 years, in 10 years, how profitable will ABC poker be?
I think that's so hard to determine, especially with, I mean, it really depends on where you're playing to. Are you playing on certain online sites? Some online sites are way tougher than others. Are you playing live? Some live casinos are way tougher than others.
Yeah, very
so
much
it's really
so.
hard to see, to try to make a prediction on which one's going to advance a lot
but it's
more.
so fun to do it.
It is.
What about?
It's a speculation proclamation. Let's
I
just
love
do
it. I love it. It's politics, man.
Poker players, I've noticed a lot of poker players when I've asked those types of questions don't like answering it. So I kind of feel like I want to stick in that category.
It depends.
Like, I don't want to
depends,
put myself
yeah.
out there like
the
that.
easy poker answer to everything. It depends.
It depends. It really is. The game is all about assumptions. What do you assume about the player? What type of range they're playing? So it really does depend.
So many variables, and that's what's so good about poker is people. You can always go back and forth and argue about the best line or sizing that you stick in his hand, but like I said, there's so many variables in a hand that it's really hard to definitively always have one correct right answer.
Yeah.
Other than just overbet bomb pot, that's always right. Overbet bomb pot, it's always plus EV.
I agree. That is correct.
Game selection will be way more important year in and year out. And see, I do agree with that. I think I'm working more on myself to try to beat the better players. That's my goal. And rather than picking the better games, I'm trying to improve my game enough to where I can play with the better players.
Well, you can just pick any game and-
that's more of just a me thing. Poker's been my passion. So really trying to excel has been part of it. And ego. Obviously, poker's an ego-driven
It's a
game.
very, very ego-driven game. So one thing we want to get a quick mention too is we live stream our last Sunday of the month final table here on Stone's Live Poker. It's a 350 buy-in, 40K guarantee.
Is that not on Sunday? Yeah, this Sunday, right? What day is it today?
Today's Monday.
No, I understand, but this Sunday coming up, correct?
I believe so. For those of you who want to take a shot at that event who might not ordinarily otherwise be able to play it, or for those of you who just want to reduce your buy-in into it, we have a Mega Satellite coming up this Saturday at 3 p.m. It's a $90 buy-in. You get a 10K starting stack, 20-minute levels, and I believe it's a 1 in 4, 1 in 5. I'm not even sure.
Yeah, good question. It might be a 1 in 5.
1 in 5.
Because they have to take their rake.
Mega Satellite this Saturday, 3 p.m. to try to earn your way into the 40K guarantee last Sunday of the month tournament. That'll be the Sunday following after that Saturday.
I'm probably going to play Sunday. If my husband is back
Barrels.
on time, I'm going to be playing on Sunday. Warranty, number 1.
So did Peter check here, out of position?
Yes, so Peter's now check calling 40 here.
Isn't it
top two.
interesting that he's deciding to check call here? Is Reggie aggressive or?
This is our first time seeing Reggie, so I'm learning Reggie and feeling out Reggie. I mean, as we're going through this string here.
I can't say I hate the check call at all. It's just a very interesting line. I'm almost thinking like check raising might be of higher value, just so you can get value from those draws. But I don't hate the check calls.
The pot wasn't 3-bet pre-flop, so it's Reggie can't put Peter on ace king, so he's got to feel like king queen's gonna be good here a very high percentage of the time here, especially like, so when you didn't see an aggressive action from Peter on the flop. So now we see it though. Now after Reggie has fired 2 barrels on king 10 6 deuce, now Peter elects to check call, check raise.
Even without looking at the hand, I don't think you see enough check raise. Even online in mid stakes, you don't see enough check raise bluffs on turns and rivers. They're just so rare.
Yeah, they're unicorns.
Yeah, and this line is so strong here. Even with seeing his hand, I just don't think like calling is just going to be correct generally. And it's such a small raise, though, right?
I mean, I'm pretty sure. I mean, your eyes. I mean, the harder part, for Reggie is that Peter has to have only an exactly king 10 or pocket 6s here, pocket 10s.
I would think personally,
Pocket 6s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really got to really run into a set of 6s here.
Yeah, that's exactly what it seems like.
Harder for him to have king 10, even though that's exactly the hand he has. It's blocking king.
Rainbow flop makes it so hard.
Rainbow flop, yeah.
Another consideration when you're Peter and you're putting in a raise, can your opponent fold? Some people cannot fold top pair. So 2006 to fold top pair, 2015 maybe.
That's true.
Yeah, there we go.
And Reggie likes to just get it in here. Peter snaps.
And so what was the call on top of that? I'm sorry.
No, it was a raise.
Yeah, but I'm
Reggie.
saying 240. Oh, I'm sorry, the raise on top of that. So it was 245 to what? Because that doesn't seem like a really good.
It
you're
was
doing
155 for Reggie to call.
so 245 to what, like 700 or 600?
8.
The graphic shows 830. I don't think it was that much though. Because looking back at Peter, I think Peter only had what, like six and change maybe.
So even with that, like you shouldn't be coming over the top with king queen. That is a total flatting spot. I think you're making a quite a mistake by re-raising there because you're isolating yourself against his nuts, right? You're only putting all the money in against his hands that have you beat, and then so what I'm saying is you should be calling to allow him to bluff rivers.
Yes.
If he does have bluffs.
If he does have bluffs, yeah.
And if you're assuming that putting in the money is good, then obviously you think he has bluffs. So calling would be the best play.
Tell me, what do you do there if you're Reggie, if you know Peter doesn't have bluffs in his range? Fold. Okay.
I mean, it's really thin.
Going to 3 outs, right? Oh,
Yeah,
maybe 3 outs.
Maybe,
If he
yeah.
has a set of 6,
Like
you're drawing
king
nothing.
jack of diamonds is like one hand that you're ahead of. Like, and that's really a big thing. Is if Peter's gonna be, I mean, is he gonna check raise that turn with that hand? I mean, yeah, you pick a lot of equity when the diamond comes off. If he specifically has a king jack of diamonds.
Peter seems like the type of player that would be check calling the turn with king jack of diamonds.
Yes.
So
Yes. I mean, it's easy for us, and Reggie may not have the history with Peter that we all know and have. So it's easy for us to sit here and talk like that because we've seen the cards. But for Reggie, it may not have been such an easy decision.
Oh, there was a game I was playing just recently where I spewed off a couple barrels for a while, just mapping out the table, figuring out who's what, who does this play. I mean, ultimately, I think long term it'll be it'll be plus TV in the long run. If you're now knowing who the players are in the game and this and the other,
Getting
but
information.
getting information,
Sometimes paying off.
Find that hey, no, he does not get bluffed. Like I cannot,
Yeah.
nope, his fold button's absolutely broken, and I'm not to bluff that player anymore. But it costs you $500.
Yeah.
So I mean, like I said, there's some of that stuff that that happens too, where you're just where's this guy really at?
Or when someone's stuck, don't try to bluff someone stuck. I think there are 2 9s on the flop.
Purple Sofa
9-9 deuce.
asked a question about like where to find good study. I would highly suggest Mathematics and Poker. I mean, that's just the #1. I don't even.
Have you read that?
I started mathematics poker. I'm not through it yet.
It's very, even from the start, it's very.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, it's really, and like towards the end, it starts getting really intense with toy gaming and whatnot, and it's just.
I picked it up and then I put it down like some of the very early stuff. To me it kind of seemed kind of mundane to me though. I will say that like it wasn't like I don't need to. For me, at least, I didn't
pot
need.
odds and
Yeah,
stuff
I
like
don't need to learn how to calculate pot odds. Like,
Yeah, well, it gets more into
it picks up.
Yes, it definitely starts out beginner, teaching you from the beginning of the game to the end of the game, pretty much. So it picks up, it gets into some really deep algebra and
All right.
whatnot.
I'm gonna go home, open a box of wine, and barrel some Bill
Perfect.
Chan.
You'll have good retention.
Oh, that's nice of you, Zen Ducks. Appreciate it, buddy.
There it is. You just watched the 678 stream.
Reggie
Learn it,
seems
love it,
bored
live it.
I think
and
the
ready
last
to go home.
last 3 times I've been on there streaming, it was, like you said, a box of wine.
You know what, Buck? Let's be real here, okay? I'm a mom.
Veronica
okay?
defending the box wine live.
Boxes of wine. Wine comes in cans, people. Wine comes in cans. Boxes of wine have increased in their value,
Yeah.
improved their value. You can get some really good wine in a box. You can't get Dreaming Tree in a box because if you could, I'd buy it all day, every day. Dreaming Tree is my absolute favorite California wine, by the way. If you ever see it, it's
Okay,
Get
I'm gonna have to get my.
it's super clean and nice. You could drink a whole bottle, you will not get a headache the next day. Trust me, I've tried. When you're stuck in the house for 6 weeks, sometimes you need a little bit of wine to get you through the day.
San Diego Keith, welcome to the chat. Good to have you back, brother.
San Diego Keith.
Freakish
haven't seen you
Gamer
in so long.
671, KCM 1977.
I know
All our
that
favorites.
the sex jokes have been minimal today because I'm trying to give 678 a chance to chat. Otherwise, he would be really upset for coming up here and listening
No
to
pregnant strippers.
No. Dancing in a hole with a pole in the middle. Oh God, I live the best life. Who has my life? Nobody. Oklahoma strippers, baby. You gotta tip them that 50 cents. I
So
love it.
AD Stack didn't start out with 1.7K at the beginning of the stream. He's been chipping up with his aggressive play.
Well, he won that pretty
Absolutely.
big hand against Garland, and I think he won a pretty substantial pot against Peter.
He also got paid off by Kelly in the spot as well.
San Diego Keith, Jake, he wants to know if it's real money.
I'm not falling for it this time. I'm not falling for
Is it live though?
So looks like a limp by Kevin, and then a raise by AD from his straddle, I'm thinking, and then a.
80's in the hijack. 80's in position here. So Kevin limped to Queen Jack. 80 made it 30 to go or 25 to go.
on top of his straddle, no? Or he just
didn't straddle,
isolated?
no, he just isolated.
Oh, he just isolated. Okay.
So Kevin on top 2 now leads the turn. 80 picked up a 6. Kevin fires. Looks like 80.
Yep. A little bit larger would be nice here. I mean, you don't have just an extraordinary amount of bluffs. What really misses from the turn to the river,
Yeah.
but you can find some bluffs. And I think betting, $100 like 2/3 pot seems like a really good sizing, especially out of position. But 80, I'm not going to nitpick too much.
So we've spoken about this before on the stream, and Bart Hansen on Crush Live Poker talks about this all the time, how players tend to lose a lot of value on the river, whether it's checking because they're afraid of something better could have got there, or just not betting enough.
Yeah, thinner value. You're not going to get raises as often as you think you will.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah.
You're almost free rolling the spot where you can bet and comfortably fold to most raises.
And what I've learned over the years too is like betting. You can bet larger with thinner value, and it almost scares the opponents into not raising you as bluffs. They're like, oh well, does he have a bluff? And then ends up calling, and you have a thin value hand, and you just value on it.
Again, I think that's a concept that we're comfortable with, that people are not going to bluff raise river very often in these level of games, but I think in a few years that concept may change, where it might be seen as a more...
The more people watch you play hands on the stream, the more
Obviously,
people are going to be more like,
they're going to be like, oh yeah, I can bluff her on the river all the time. No, I'm just saying, like, the majority of people, I think, like 95% of players are not bluff raising river. I swear to God, that's Rick and Barstow. I can't stop looking at him. Like, it is Rick and Barstow sitting in seat 1 playing 1-2. Just
There's a 1-2 no limit game here?
A 1-2 no limit.
Really? I
Super
I
fun.
didn't even know they ran those live anymore.
Yeah.
I thought
Oh,
it was
yeah.
like all 1-3 these days.
Listen,
No,
I
1-2.
played 1-2 limit. That was painful. That
Okay,
was.
That sounds painful.
This woman at my table was like 105, looked like she ate her lipstick for breakfast. Anyway, that was a different story.
Kelly leads out with ace-10.
Listen, if you're just new to our stream, click on the little heart. We'll notify you when we go live. We go live every Monday and Wednesday. And this Wednesday's Veronica and Friends, a 1-3 game, guaranteed, or as we like to say, warranty number 1, guaranteed to be a good time. It's always crazy, right? Have we ever had a non-bananas Veronica and Friends?
No, the Veronica and Friends games have been, I mean, absolutely off the chain. I mean, is it 1-3, 20, 1-3, 15? I mean,
You guys play drink pots?
No, but I drink pots? Like we have to drink?
Pockets over a certain size you buy for the table?
No, but I buy for the table anyway.
okay.
I make them drink.
Well, everybody can get really drunk really fast if you play drink pots.
That's a good one.
$300 pot, you buy the table. Whoever's playing in the drink pots gets
I
ordered
feel-
around.
I feel like that would limit our drinking. Like I just want to drink at any time. I want to have the freedom.
You don't have to exclusively just only.
Yeah,
drink
you don't
one.
have to exclusively.
Yeah, no,
for
it's
sure.
just an add-on. It's
Oh, okay.
On top,
as
yeah.
an add-on, I'm open. You know what I mean? I don't want to limit myself at all. I escaped communism for a reason.
Any other books I could recommend? Applications in No Limit Hold'em by Matthew Jonda is a really good one. There's a few other ones out there. I don't know right off the top of my head, but yeah.
Three deuce, 2 clubs. Casey's got clubs.
Yeah, a lot of people love to play those drink pots. I sure do. And everybody starts getting real loose with their drinking.
Next
and
thing you
then
know,
all
pots
the chips are
get
flying.
bigger,
and
then
all of a
there's more
sudden-
drink pots,
Yeah, and then
and
more drink
They
pots.
all have
exactly.
Eastern European
Drink pops,
accents.
gain power. It's wonderful.
Do you want a drink, by the way? Can I buy you a drink?
I'm okay.
We're gonna buy you a drink of your choice if you want. Some food, whatever you want, we'll buy you. Because we're easy and cheap, baby.
That's very nice of you guys.
So 3 deuce, 2 clubs. Bill, did I see Bill bet 30 and Casey is check raised to 80 here with his 2 overs and a club draw.
Now, I mean, you
Bill comes along.
can kind of go crazy right here if you're not picking the right combos to do this with. Like, what are you representing when you're check raising, right? You're representing one combo of 3s, maybe ace 3, which is 2 combos. Not many. And then you have 3 combos of
4,
deuces.
yeah.
So you have 8 combos of value there, and then you can go just way overboard if you're just check raising a ton of hands here. So it's kind of hard to make sure you don't go overboard. So you need some type of system to make sure you don't, against good players at least.
So tell us the system.
Blockers.
Blockers. Do you want some water or anything?
I'm okay. Yeah, actually. Can I get an ice water, please?
That's it? You don't want anything else?
Do you guys
want
want anything?
iced tea?
Ice water on me? Or a drink?
Iced tea,
Casey leads the
nothing?
turn, takes down the pot.
No? Ice water sounds good. Thank you.
So, by the
We
way,
didn't get to see Bill's hand there. Kind of
Rick-
curious what he had.
Brittany, our favorite waitress, is going to be in Veronica and Friends on Wednesday. Oh my gosh, we see her all the time on the live stream, helping out all the players. She's the best, Awesome,
Brittany
right?
has quite a collection of whiskeys at her house as well. I was over there. Yeah, Lon and I were over the place, and she was making me try all her
Is
all
that
different
when
whiskeys.
people were Snapchatting about you talking too much?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, there's
Usually.
Jake, talks
Yeah,
about himself.
Here you go, talking about poker again.
Talking about
we
poker
just
or
left-
himself.
We just left poker, and here goes Jake, just rattling off about poker again.
Some people want to talk about Dexter or, House of Cards. They don't always want to talk poker.
Dexter's clearly got an unbalanced killing frequency.
No, I think it's a very balanced killing frequency.
I have no idea.
Is that show still on? I didn't know.
I
No,
really
it's
don't know.
old. Like I'm
The
making
wife used to
references
watch it.
from like almost the 90s here.
I was gonna say I felt like a kid when I
my-
probably was a kid when I was
Don't-
watching that.
I could be your mother, I'm sure.
So here we go. There's no straddle on this hand. Reggie makes it 15 to go with aces. Anthony, he's got position. He's going to call with king 7 suited. right behind him on the button.
Don't hate the flat here with King 7 suited. You know, like button is a great, very powerful, most powerful position in poker, and King 7's, you know, not a horrible hand suited king.
So here we go. Kelly now going to 3-bet the Queen Jack out of the big blind. Kelly makes it 45 to go.
Nice squeeze. Like it.
Wow, I think that's the first time we've heard you say you like something.
Well, no, I think is Kelly the one on the no?
In the big
Oh,
blind.
Kelly's the woman.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, nice squeeze, Kelly. I like
Oh,
it.
well, then he does like it.
Maybe a little bit larger sizing would have been nicer, but you know, I'm not gonna. Again, sizing is something that you can just.
6, 7, 8
Go,
likes
go,
it
go.
big. Everybody likes it big. Reggie's got aces.
On Reggie Flats. It's going to bring along Anthony as well.
Wraps himself in some butter and bacon
Well, yeah,
and
yeah,
jumps
look
it
at
in a sausage casing.
his-
Let me
his-
do my spiel.
With his stack size, I like the flat here. 'Cause it's
Oh,
going to be really
okay,
hard
he
for
only
him,
has 190.
for him not to get a stack in on the flop. I mean,
Yeah.
so yeah.
Yeah, you're
Kelly's
right.
going to c-bet her entire range here, and then Reggie's going to jam. It's going to price her in.
See, bet
price
your
her in-
entire range here. Is it good?
When she 3-bets out of
Deuce 10-6 once you 3-bet.
out of
Yeah,
the big
yeah.
blind.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have all the. This is a board where you're just gonna have all the like really strong pairs. You're gonna have sets of 10s here. They may have sets of 10s, sets of 6s, sets of deuces, but it makes up such a small portion of their range that they're just gonna be having to check fold. I don't know if I would be barreling into somebody with a 190 stack.
That's the only hard part, yeah.
With a 1 SPR here, you're just gonna be throwing chips into the wind most of the time. So I don't know. Like it's tough to say bluff. And like 110, how you gonna fold, right?
Yeah.
Like,
And that's just like that's what we talked about. Like I really like the way that Reggie played this hand because with the stack size, and
Yeah,
having
perfect.
Kelly 3-bet out of the blind, she's gonna be c-betting everything, and it's so easy to get your stack size in which point she's gonna price her in. And there's nothing wrong with every now and then just letting the best hand hold. And players get so worried about about getting we're all damaged players and bad beats, blah 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 blah. Players are so worried about their hand not holding up. There's nothing wrong with that stack size flatting and just getting it in with aces on any flop.
yeah, I think he really pulled a lot of value out of aces right there.
Yeah.
Well done, Reggie. Well done,
Yeah.
Reggie. Very nice.
If he 4-bet jams, Kelly got a pretty easy fold.
yeah.
I feel like. I mean,
Pre-flop. Pre-flop?
yeah, I'm saying
Yeah.
pre-flop. If he 4-bet jams, then Kelly's got a easy decision with Queen Jack just let it go. Like I said, he squeezed every ounce of value he could out of those aces.
He wouldn't jelly it. He would jam
Yeah,
it.
Rounder, you're right. With a short stack in the pot, probably not c-betting entire range because you're like we just said, you commit yourself. So.
One thing I do know is tonight, sex jokes are not within both of your ranges, so we're not gonna have them anymore.
So okay, so we can still sex joke.
No, we're done. You guys are not there. Both
So,
of you are like
so that said, so I mean, when the original opener is so short there, or with that stack size, do you then just completely just take 3-betting out of the blind? I mean, completely out of the picture at all, just because you know that.
Yeah,
you know,
as a bluff with Queen Jack, it just doesn't make a lot of sense, right?
because if you can't c-bet anything that you miss, if you're only going to be able to c-bet your value hands, then
Yeah, it doesn't really.
Check
What I
folding
would do,
just seems so
most
fast.
likely, I would probably just widen up my value range. So like instead of like just 3-betting, I guess I would start 3-bet. I would 3-bet hands with like ace jack.
I was gonna say ace jack,
and
great
two
hand.
suited.
You
when I
block an
normally
ace, yeah.
probably, I mean, I probably would squeeze with it just because it's me. But I'm just, but, like I really think like if you're gonna pick hands there, like you don't want to be too thin, and you probably want to be linear with your range. You don't want to really be polarized. And like Queen Jack off, if you're picking that, you're 3-betting all 16 combos of Queen Jack. That's a lot of offsuit combos with Broadway hands. You know what I mean? Like, so you really get yourself in some sticky spots post flop. I'm not sure I.
Yeah.
Come up with that.
If they're deeper, then it's a whole other game. 3-betting there. And then for me personally, I think I still flat a lot there out of the big one. You even laid a great price of the hand that I think flops really well. I mean, that said, even because you're offsuit, you might lean a little bit more toward 3-betting than you would suited hands. It's going to have a little more value.
Well, I think a lot of people go a little bit overboard with their offsuit Broadway hands when they're 3-betting or squeezing, and I think that you're gonna end up being post flop with a range that is really Broadway heavy when you're using offsuit hands. So I think there's scenarios. It's not like a hard and fast rule, but I would rather just see more of like the really strong like ace queen off type of 3-bets. As for the offsuit region, that's probably like the bottom end, and then usually like a longer suited region. And then also it just plays better post flop in big pots. Hands that are suited have higher equity realization.
Yeah.
They you know, because your equity is if you had 5 cards all ran out, you know? But not all the time, you rarely ever do you see all 5 cards when you go to showdown, right?
Exactly.
So you're not realizing 100% of your equity most of the time, and suited hands pick up flush draws and straight draws, stuff like
Backdoor
that.
flush draws,
And
things
so
like
they
that.
get to realize more of their equity than the offsuit combos.
Yeah.
If you can only see like what's going through her mind right now, there's like this little halo and everything, like just appeared over your head.
I'm gonna have to rewatch this because, and I'll probably message you on Twitch with a few questions because there are a few things on there that I was just, I had a few questions about, but I wanted to let you finish because you are the almighty 678.
Not almighty, but thank you very much.
So Reggie's gonna get 15 to go here with King Queen.
Donate to the Church of 678 today.
Two-Faced Man 69. Welcome
Sunday
to chat.
matrimony.
I like this blackjack dude. He knows his poker.
Anthony's in the call. 15 out of the hijack. King 10 suited. Casey comes along with Queen Jack out of the cutoff. 80's gonna defend the big blind with Deuce Trey, and Kevin's in there as well at the small blind with pocket 8s.
Two-Faced Man 69, nice to see you. We'll ask 678 in just a minute, and we'll ask Jake also. I don't want you to feel like, oh, 678 is here.
Jack 7-3, 2 diamonds.
Ego.
So on a board like this, like I say, like you should probably be checking back a lot of hands that are like weak jacks on this board. So like Queen Jack, if you're heads up, but this is not heads up, and a lot of times you want to deny equity to 8 cards out there when you're multi-way. So it becomes a situation where instead of checking with those types of hands, you just want to be betting to deny the equity to so many cards that are out there. And again, we can't really solve
So
multi-way.
who were you talking about that needs to deny the equity? Who?
The person with the best
Person
hand.
with the best hand, Jack. So in this case, it would be Casey.
Okay,
So
okay, with the jack. Okay.
But normally I
Disco.
would say like checking back is it like
Would an
with-
overpair
and a heads up,
also,
yeah.
in a heads up or like a heads up game, yeah.
yeah.
Would an overpair also be trying to deny the equity to his opponents?
Yeah,
In a
seems
multi-
like
Yeah, you
Okay.
can get value from.
so you don't really have to
jacks.
worry about balance in a multi-way pot because I don't think they're going to go too crazy and exploit you. I mean, like if someone's crazy behind you, do some check raising with some sets in a multi-way. I don't know,
Yeah.
it's so hard to say what is proper multi-way. So really, just thinking about what your opponents have and trying to play in the moment is probably going to be best multi-way.
Ace on the river. Kevin, who stuck around, he figured if pocket 8s were good on the flop, and the second jack is a good card for him. He called the turn as well. And here we are on the river now with the ace over card to his 8s. And this might finally get Kevin off the hand.
I do agree with what Mastic says here, and an overpair would be more value driven. It would. It's not looking
Yeah.
for as much protection. It's looking for value a lot of times, but it also is looking for protection from the 8 cards that are out there. Now, a really tough spot for 8s here.
You gotta worry if your opponent had ace high diamonds on the flop.
9-10, 8-9,
9-10, 8-9.
5-6, 4-5.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty hard call with 8s. And a spot you could probably get away with just bluffing really at a pretty high frequency because 8s is just gonna, a hand like 8s is just gonna have such a hard time, and they're probably not gonna have like a ton of aces in their range.
I don't think so, because he's blocking through the 8, it's harder for him to have the 8-9, 10-8 combo, something like that.
Now if the river came an ace right there and you held the ace of diamonds with another diamond, right? If you had a flush draw and you're out of position, I think that might be an okay spot for like a blocking bet. A lot of people.
Frown
Don't-
upon blocking bets.
Well,
but you
yeah,
can say-
a lot of people don't use blocking bets either, and they're kind of nice sometimes to deny the opponent from easily betting a larger amount against you, and you can also get thin value by betting with, like, so if he had 10s and he decided to check back, right, with the guy with Queen Jack, if he decided to check back, now you bet really small with an ace, and what does he do with with tens? He calls.
He calls. Yeah, hates and calls.
And so, but if he has like a bluff, it's really hard for him to raise you there because it's just going to make the pot so big.
Yeah. Okay, so here's something about that like blocking bet. So the way like poker play, kind of ebbs and flows and everything like that. People years ago started using a lot of blocking bets, and then people got to the point where blocking bets was being exploited a lot. Someone would lead small river, and then the autopilot thing to do for the imposition aggressor would be just to pop them. And clearly, hey, kind of like where I'm at. And then
because they're unbalanced.
Exactly, so they're unbalanced.
And that might not be the best spot too. I'm going to go back for a
no,
second.
you're saying,
I'm just saying.
I'm just going to discuss that in kind of in general.
Yeah.
But you kind of feel like maybe today people aren't utilizing the blocking bet to the best of its ability.
Yeah.
Well, how do people identify size-wise what difference between a blocker bet and a value bet?
And like really thin value.
Yeah, a thin value bet would be.
I think the blocking bet and thin value
Kind
are
of one and the same.
Yeah, kind of
Okay.
go hand in hand, and they just deny, they're just going to deny a lot of hands from like putting a lot of money in the pot against you unless it's like a really polarized range, right? So like you're making their thin value bet range that would have bet for thin value with a larger sizing than your blocker bet, right? You're just forcing those hands to call.
Okay.
So sometimes you're beat too.
Like I said, in that spot, he talks about like David pointed out, like if Kevin had a hand like ace X of diamonds there and river the ace, and Casey rather than sitting on trip jack was had like pocket queens, and that card was going to check back that card a lot of times. Just it's harder for him to get value out of worse hands by leading small. You can actually extract value than it would, I think, because check raising is just kind of silly because it's never going to be value.
But I also want to mention that we've seen a lot of donk bets in these games, and the donk bet is different than a blocking bet.
Correct.
Because they're switching on a blocking bet. The roles have switched because there's been a check in between, and you're going for like a thin value type of bet, or you have like a range advantage because the river shifted the range advantage a little bit. While on the donk bets, there's been 2 streets or 1 street ahead of it that someone had a range advantage, and then you're leading into that range advantage, right? And so you're just kind of punishing yourself by donk betting. So I want to say, I just want to clarify the difference between those two.
Yeah, between a block bet and a donk bet.
So U-Rounder's right, block bet is thin value. He utilizes those pretty well. He's the master of the thin value block bet.
Voss 9999999.
Service on 11.
Probably too many nines in there, but welcome to the chat.
Maybe he's German. 9.
9, Schnell!
AD, never one to shy away from a hand. Just a hand in general. I think AD would play optimally without looking. Don't you think?
Recognize weakness and exploit it.
Yeah. AD can put pressure on people. He doesn't need to really look at his cards.
As it is, 80 makes it 20 to go with 10 deuce of diamonds. Gets calls from both Bill and Peter. And on 7-9-5, Peter's got an inside straight draw to go along with the 6s. But he's going to be out of position. And if an 8 comes off, how much money is someone else really going to put, how much money they can put in the pot?
I do like a bet here out of AD if he does bet. Yeah, and he does
AD
bet.
does bet.
And he bets a pretty large sizing. Wait, is the pot 115 before his bet?
No, it was 60 before, so he made nearly a pot size bet, yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Good sizing by him.
Yeah, it works.
And a good choice of hands. You have a backdoor flush draw, backdoor straight draw, blocker to 10-9, blocker to any of his continues like 10-8, like straight draws.
Yeah.
You want to be utilizing those hands because that just means you're going to get more folds out of the opponent.
Yep.
Listen, our special mega satellite to this Saturday is this Saturday to our Sundays.
To the Sunday 40K guarantee.
Yeah, so this Saturday at 3 p.m. a $90 mega satellite, 10,000 in chips, 20-minute levels. And I believe that the structure is the same as the last Sunday. It's just faster
albeit for
lines.
levels. So
Yeah.
do we still want to ask for JFK Stones TD clarification in the chat box? So are we still having the normal Stones 10K 130 buy-in in the morning? That's my question.
That's a good question.
Get some clarification
JFK Stone.
which is great. I mean, if we do, that'd be great. Everyone who then punts it off in the morning 10K can
So
go
come here, get your
satellite
free
into the
breakfast.
40K.
Get your free breakfast. Then play the 10K and then the 40K. Well, the satellite to the 40K.
Now, what was the buy-in for the 10K? That's a weekly or monthly?
It's weekly.
Every
Yeah.
Saturday, $130 buy-in, 10K guarantee.
Go with John.
Really well. It's a 15K starting stack, 30-minute levels, good structure.
Sounds like a great,
Oh, for a
great
weekly?
tournament.
Oh, it's the best weekly tournament there is.
Yeah, that sounds like a really good tournament.
Yeah.
Might have to make it up. And you said free breakfast.
Free breakfast between 7
If
and 9.
you're in a live game, you have between 7 and 9
You
a.m.
got to show up at between 7 and 9, play some live games.
Or
and
just
then
don't
hop
stop
in the
playing
tournament.
after the night before.
I'm all about the free breakfast. See, I can bring you down to my level. Got you there.
Wait.
Free breakfast is like so plus EV. Like,
Yeah.
like, that's on everyone's level, I feel like.
Yes, love the free
Next, we'll be
breakfast.
watching Beavis and Butthead. I'm referencing the 90s. What's going on? I feel like I need to get some like more real references for you young kids.
That's whippersnappers.
I believe the
Whippersnappers.
stream is until 10 o'clock.
Correct.
Yes, I do believe it is.
I do believe.
Thank you, you fine sir.
The more I'm in the booth, the more I want to be proper.
We'll get you a top hat. We've got them in the bag.
I didn't think that proper.
That proper, yeah. It's a whole other level of proper.
Jake gets drunk and rips them in half. It's okay. King 6-3 on the flop. 2 spades.
Peter was our original aggressor here with pocket fives out of the cutoff. Made it 25 to go. Got calls from both blinds.
I think this is a reasonable spot to turn fives into a bluff because you do have backdoor gut shot and
Backdoor spades.
backdoor spades. So it's not horrible. I don't mind a check either.
Boz 999. No, I went to university for a reason, but you may have
when
tipped
Reggie gets
someone that
there.
looks similar to me. Thank you, I appreciate that.
Now
Go ahead.
there was no bet on turn.
No bet flop, no bet turn. It checked all the way through. River, Reggie spikes a 7,
No, I think King 10 should be c-betting turn, or not c-betting, but
betting turn.
Betting turn because he is going to have some bluffs that he wants to bet there. So you want to be betting for like thin value with your kings, and then you probably use it as like a check call on river.
Yeah.
And that's a really interesting river. That's a bummer. And he would have got that hand fold.
We're not results oriented here. It's fine.
Yeah, we're not results. I have the rabbit cam on when I play.
So do I. It's so gross.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Look at the two of you. Shame. Shame.
It's I shouldn't, but I do.
Shame.
You want to know how bad the hurt is. You really want to know.
It's also a blocker.
Oh,
They
God.
can't have that hand.
They can't have that hand.
They can't have that card in their range.
You guys are the worst. The worst I've ever seen.
the rabbit card blocker.
Yeah, the rabbit card blocker. It only comes in useful like
like a new range.
0.05% of the time, but when it does,
Oh man.
like the ace of spades on a 3-spade run out and you fold, and
Right.
then it peels off the ace of spades and you're like,
Oh god.
throw the mouse into the pile of broken mouses. Mice.
How many?
Nieces.
Right? How many?
Mice.
How many computers have you broken? 0?
I'm
Really?
happy about that one because I've got very, very angry. And I punched the wall. I gotta say that. But
6 on the turn
A little bit of sickness there.
in case he's got it.
Yeah. He's not gonna get paid.
Gets no love from
I think
Bill.
you should be betting there, though. I mean, you just want value, obviously, and then you also want to have some bluffs.
Yeah, I feel like after your opponent shows,
Two
There was-
trees of weakness.
well, yeah. I mean, actually, I think you might even be able to lead the turn there once again after your opponent. Well, I mean, he was passed on the flop, so I mean, not gonna call a lot on the turn, I guess. But if you're ever gonna try to, feel like once again trying to stay balanced, if you're gonna try to take away pots where your opponent, the original aggressor checks back, and you're gonna try to get him off of better ace high hands, something like that. If you're ever gonna try to take that pot away with that turn card, whether you have it or not, then you gotta bet there was some frequency.
Yeah, you want to be betting, if you're going to have bluffs, you want to be betting the nuts.
value hands as well.
Yeah.
Unexceptional rounder. Thank you so much for joining us. We
Thanks, dude.
appreciate it.
We'll talk to you tomorrow. We're going to be doing some more study work with him.
Skype BFF.
Study work is important in this game. Do I play any live games? I don't really play too many live games.
We're gonna get him hosed tonight. That's what we say in Canada. We're hosed, and then we're gonna make him play 1-2 limit. No limit.
I was looking forward to 1-2 limit.
Right.
Grandpa's game.
3 bets.
Oh, I've played it
Cap it.
before.
Cap it.
Oh, it's so painful. Don't give me bad memories. I'll start twitching.
I think someone told me that there's still a one in the Bay Area. You can still find a 1-2 stud game. When it's stud.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind
Stud's
to
a fun game.
practice some stud, right?
That's one of my 7 stud. You're speaking of 7 stud? Or
Yeah,
just
that's what we heard, 7.
Okay, yeah. So I love 7 stud and Raz. Those 7 card games. I mean, those are just so classic. They're so fun. You can just like read someone's hand and just I don't know. There's something about it. It's different. It almost seems more pure than
special kind of
Ultimate.
sickness. Yeah, it's good.
Dive into their soul when you read their hand, right?
Grab it. Grab their soul.
Jesus, man.
So I've noticed Kelly uses a lot of really small sizings post flop. She does it with a lot of bluffs and she does it with a lot of value hands too, I believe. Yeah, so here she's going for thin value with another small bet sizing. So it's very interesting. Just a lot of very small stabs. She's relentless with those small stabs.
Do you think she's losing maybe a little bit of equity with such small?
I think she's losing value, yes. I do believe she's
losing value.
Yeah, I do believe she needs to probably polarize a little bit more. I think she's just stabbing in a lot of spots where she doesn't have to stab, and when she does stab, she could probably get a little bit more fold equity by using a larger sizing, and also balancing it with some really strong hands.
I like it.
I like it too.
Nice.
Oh, that was so good. It was
I love it. Roz
a
and,
threesome of 5-5.
Or I'm sorry, 3G45.
That was
quick
a
hole.
5-5 threesome, right?
It is a 5-5 game.
3G45. Has Rick banned more trolls or played more hands on the stream? Oh, burn. We haven't had Rick play on our stream yet.
No, I thought he was over.
No,
in
but
1-2
he's
game.
gonna be
Hey,
here
over
next.
yeah, right?
Yeah, he's gonna be here next month. I swear to God, that guy is like identical to Rick, right? I can't get over it. I'm gonna take a picture of him and put it on Twitter for Rick.
So what happened here with how did Queen Deuce get in this small blind in this pot?
Well, Kevin's defending his small blind.
It just doesn't seem like a hand that would be like plus EV, I should say, to defend out of the small blind. Worst position in the table. It's very hard to be profitable defend there.
And this, sometimes what I'm saying is sometimes this
The
all of it is
button's
in
real.
vain, and some people just don't care about their position compared to the raise or the 3-bet. They just want to play,
yeah.
or they've got a little bit of money in the pot and it's a discount for them to call.
You know what? I do have to say, I was actually playing the other night, playing a 1-3 game. It's been a couple years since I played live poker, and I was with the local casino, runs a 1-3, and I was playing it the other day, and there was a guy that was a fish to my right, and I just had this thought, and like that popped up right now, and it was, he always was limping, and I was always raising, and he was playing for fun, or when you said when players play for fun, and he looked miserable when I raised him, like, but on a serious point here, I don't think people should play if you're not having fun. I think the game
Yeah.
is about fun, and
Absolutely.
and you know, especially like when you're going to a table to a live game, I think keeping the game fun for other players is a huge thing.
Yes.
All corporate lawyers are going to quit their jobs now because it's not fun, and they're working without having fun, and the world's going
It's
to be
poker
better.
though, like that's why we play though, right? We love it.
It's
We don't play because we need to. We play because we love it.
masochists, right? We enjoy the pain.
We love it. And we love it.
So
All these people look like they're having so much fun, right? Like a party at the table. Only AD.
Kevin flopped a lot of equity here with his open-ended and 2 overs. Now I'll tell you what though, that guy was like, he looked miserable when I raised him sometimes, and I was like, man, I just wish you wouldn't come to the casino if you thought like, you know, like I'm glad I'm behind a computer most of the time. And peels the straight on the turn.
Disco. And that might be trouble for Casey. Casey does pick up an open-ended straight draw to the wrong end of it.
Now is Disco your guys' turn for the nuts?
It's one of the things. It's
his
the
face.
card you want.
It sounds like it.
It's, yeah. Card
No,
comes,
it
yeah.
does.
Yeah, yeah.
Little party comes off in your head.
Little
The
BG's
disco ball
playing.
drops and you just, little happy rhythm starts playing inside your brain.
Yeah,
And then a
it's Jake's
redraw
thing.
happens.
And then a redraw happens. It's science. So Casey checks and Kevin bets 150.
Another really small sizing.
Well, yeah, there's 250 inside in the pot before. This is now post pot, so it's like
Oh, so it was 300, 310, and then he bet
150.
150. Still, I think.
Still, yeah, half
closer
pot.
to like 200, 250. I would bet like, I think 200 on that turn. You not going to just have an extraordinary amount of bluffs, but I mean, come on, get some value. Like, that's what I'm thinking. Like, let's get some value from those, like, Jack 9s that want to call with their straight jaw on a pair. Let's get some value from the 8-7s that want to call, you know?
Yeah.
Best player in my room, what's up? Nice to see you. Damn, Kelly cute. Of course she's cute. She's very cute.
JFK Stone CD in the chat box. I don't know. You might have already answered it. Are we still having the 10K this Saturday along with the satellite at 3 p.m.?
And someone,
Did you already answer that?
And someone was asking about the satellite again. Yeah, it is at 3 p.m.
Yeah. 3 p.m. satellite, $90 buy-in, 10K starting
A
stack,
perfect
20
time
minute,
for poker players.
20-minute levels, absolutely. By 3 p.m., Friday night's hungovers, pretty much worn off.
Oh, I'm gonna order some breakfast after this.
Breakfast is always good. Brenner? Breakfast, dinner? Love it.
Oh, Brenner. I like Brenner buffet.
And a nice mimosa.
Have you ever had a Brenner
orange
buffet
juice.
of runny eggs in an Oklahoma strip club? Have you ever had that?
Oh, runny egg sounds horrible, though.
So good. So good with pregnant strippers. All right. Next hand.
It's all about the scrambled eggs.
Yeah, with runny scrambled eggs.
Oh, no.
So we still have our 10K guaranteed Saturday morning. I believe that starts at 11. And then for all those 10K guaranteed dropouts, we've got the 3 p.m. satellite.
Wow, beast mode for JFK.
What I love about that is, and it's going to be a great day to play some cash game poker too. So one of the best ways to play cash game poker is the days that they have the tournaments. Players bust out the tournaments and they're showing that do or die, all or nothing, 15, 20 big blind, rip or fold mode.
Yep.
And either the ones who just cash and with the newfound wealth hit the cash tables, or those players who just busted off and they want to tell you all about their bad beat stories. They want to jump into cash tables and, oh man.
I'll entertain them.
Yeah, right? Best days to play tournament or to play cash game poker. Big tournament days. Casey makes it 55 to go. Ace King under the gun +2.
That's an interesting sizing. 11.
I think we do have the straddle. So. Reggie had a 15. Either he opened a 15 or a $15 straddle. I couldn't tell if it was a $15 straddle or he opened a 15.
Ooh, and he's not going
Here we go.
And, okay, so this is a spot that Ace King doesn't want to go too crazy. Not looking at Reggie's hand at all. I mean, he does have a ton of equity here, but Ace King just doesn't have that strong of a hand. So I feel like
anyone who's going to put in a lot of money after the flop's going to have a reasonable amount of equity against you, so no reason to build up a huge pot here.
So I feel like it is a polarizing board texture, so like a larger sizing, and if you're going to use a larger sizing, then you're going to have more netted hands. So I feel like maybe even a hand as strong as Ace King, or maybe a little bit weaker Ace Queen, might be a fine 2-street hand, a check back and then bet.
Oh, it's all in.
Control the pot.
And Reggie check jams.
Well, then you got to call that.
Now, Casey bets 125. Reggie stuffs it. Casey's only ahead of Ace Queen, really.
If you're betting here, you have to call.
Yeah.
I think there's. No.
Casey knows it. He doesn't love it, but he knows he's going to. It's going to cost Casey $380 to call. There's $750 in the pot.
So Mastic says check back flop. I think I agree with that. I think pot controlling here is going to be a really good option, especially in like a 3-bet pot. What hands are they going to have in their range? Well, I guess it's not a 3-bet pot, right?
No. Well, that's I'm a little bit unclear. I couldn't tell if Reggie was under the gun with Queen 9. I didn't catch whether it was a $15 straddle or he opened to 15. But Casey's pre-flop size and making it 55 to go.
There's the call.
There it is. Once, twice. And we can run it up to 3 times here on the live stream.
Really?
Yes.
That's awesome. That's a great card.
Ooh, so is that.
Great card for Casey.
And they elect to run it once.
I like it. Let's see some variants.
And the favorite in the hand won, which is weird.
So I mean, if you're going to see that, you got to call it off there, especially when you're not holding a heart.
Yeah.
I mean, you might even want to. I mean, and just the thoughts here. If you're just thinking about the game as a whole, you might be better off c-betting the non-heart
hand,
combos.
Because then your opponent's going to have some more heart combinations.
Exactly, and when you check back the 1 heart combos and a heart peels off, now you have a flush draw, the nut flush draw.
Yeah, it's kind of bittersweet there. If you're sitting there. Yeah, with Ace King, whether or not you would or not want to have the King of Hearts there. Yeah, one, you're blocking some of his bluffs. which we all hate doing. So you're calling off and everyone walking lost. But then two, that added equity of when you are behind. If he's got ace jack there, then it's kind of a dance. You love to hate it.
Thinking about the game in a whole though like that is really a good way to do it. Just getting your mind active in the game. Think about what you could do with different combos.
So Kelly just put in a race of 15 and AD 3-bet her to 30. Oh, sorry, 35.
So that's a very small 3-bet, especially with really deep stacks like this. When you're playing 200 big blinds deep and she opened at 15,
Yeah.
then I would like to see like a sizing like near 3.5x, maybe even 4x with 200 big blinds deep, and just give them the linear whoop-de-wop with my range.
The linear whoop-de-wop.
Just, I'll be 3-betting all my pairs pretty much. I'll be 3-betting all my suited connectors, maybe some suited one-gappers, all my strong Broadway hands. I'm just going to be out the
I just
crap
don't
out of
know
it.
poker anymore. I don't know the linear whoop-de-wop.
Linear whoop-de-wop. I love it. Knit Poker 678. This is Mr. David Alford on online live crusher or online live crusher. That makes sense. Online crusher.
Knit Poker, what's up? I haven't seen you in a while.
Knit poker.
Are you seeing that? You seen the hand? You guys seen that? Up there?
Yeah, I've never seen.
Oh yeah.
I guess. I don't play much live, so I don't see many places that run it more than once or allow running it more than once.
Oh, yeah, the stream can run it up to 3 times.
Especially
beasts.
in town.
We're beasts here.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's really great when you're putting in some of the volume of hands that some of our players put in this room to be able to reduce your variance by any stretch of the means.
Now I gotta ask, is there a multiple drop or is it just one drop on that?
It's just one drop.
That's amazing.
We take your regular poker game and we infuse it with a box of wine. That's what we do.
It better be the good box of wine though.
Obviously, obviously.
If I remember.
And you can on the live stream you can pay to wrap it. You tip the dealer, everything goes to the dealer, and it's like the $5.
Yes.
Or $1? Is it $5 for $1?
This is like he's the best.
Greatest ever. Go build the house
Why do I
across the
live
street.
3.5 hours away?
Oh man.
Grab your wife and your kids, build a house across the street.
You can access
Popeyes.
Bovada from anywhere, David. You can access Bovada from anywhere.
That's
I'm
true.
saying.
That's true. Gotta play some zone poker from the phone at the live table, asking for rabbit cams on both.
Okay, so just for clarification, it's an additional $1 per board. But relative to the size of the pot, I mean, you pay for that reduction in variance every time.
Yeah. That's awesome.
35.
Casey Ace 9.
Who is 678? Nobody. Don't worry about it.
Do you want to put your name in the chat box, or Snow? Do you mind? I don't care.
We should put his actual Twitch name, and that way, it is exactly the way it is on Twitch, right? 678.
No, it has an underscore, but I don't really. It doesn't bother me because I don't use it too
well,
often anymore. So.
If you're ever live streaming again, they can follow you.
If I'm drunk live streaming, that's usually when I get on there when I've had too many of the box wine. Yeah.
Okay, so do you play? We talked about stud a little bit. PLO. Do you play?
Love PLO. Love PLO. I don't really. Not a big fan of PLO high-low.
Oh, you don't PLO 8?
Oh, come on.
I'm not a huge fan of it, but
I
I
love
mean,
it.
I could play it, I guess. If I'm gonna play PLO 8, it's gonna be a heads-up game.
Sure.
I want it to be a heads-up catch game.
We love flow-aiding it.
I just feel like there's so many like chips flying around. You don't even know where you're at in the hand. A lot of times, if it's a multi-way pot, you're like,
Oh yeah, it's wonderful, right?
everybody's got ace deuce, and you're getting worse than quartered some of the time. It's
Yeah, you weren't alive for the 60s where it was all free and awesome. It's too hippie of a game for you, huh? You like it more structured and astrophysics?
just regular PLO.
Flow.
Low, and Bovada removed the 7 stud games, so that was a bummer too. Do you guys ever run like any other types of games here?
Yeah, I was just gonna mention. Was it the second or third Wednesday of every month? Is we run a 5-5 PLO on the stream.
Now is that a high, low?
High only.
See, that's my type of game.
It's your game, bro. Claw 1980, welcome to the chat. 678, or he says, hands aren't good in PLO 8, obviously. Kelly makes it 75 to go with queens. 80, who had, I believe, a straddle on under the gun, Kevin's in a call out of the big blind. Is that what I saw? Called 70 more out of the big blind? No. No, Kevin lets it go. 80 comes along, 55 more.
It's going to be $150 to subscribe to this stream only
Here we go.
to get
Wow.
all of your information.
Wow, this is a board, man, with queens. I think I'm probably like, I mean, it seems so weird to be checking back this hand, but it's so hard for him to have continues here. Maybe like an exploitative small bet, but I think I like a check back with queens. Oh, Kelly, I'm sorry, it's a she.
Yeah. Kelly bets 80.
You don't see
figure it out.
you don't see a ton of women at the poker table, so it's usually he. But I guess she gets value from AD.
So Kelly had changed CC. We got a Zahn now sitting down in the game.
Ozzy, Ozzy, Ozzy.
He's the best.
We love us some Azan.
Kelly now bets 120.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to his play.
80 drawing to a 6.
Raises. Come on.
I love it.
I'm thinking like if you see this is a good flop if you have 4-5. This is one of those spots you'd want to be check raising because it's really never going to be that great of a call. I mean, when you call, you're just looking to check fold on the next street, So and you're only hitting one out of 11 times, something like that. So you really need to be using it as like a check raise type hand. But obviously with queens here, you're not really. You're just going to be running into the nuts. But I do think it's much better as a check raise than a check call. I think check call is going to be minus EV unless people tend to stab, check, and then give up, and then you can stab river. And AD might know that. That's what he's been doing. So he might just have this game plan where I'm just going to have a low variance style where I can just flat and then just stab rivers. And
Disco!
And there's no flush. Oh, there is a flush.
Backdoor diamonds got there. It's going to be harder for Kelly to think the 80s got backdoor diamonds where the hand was played out.
Money's going in here. 545 and the pot's 560. This is one SPR.
And 80 already checked over to her.
Yeah, he's.
Oh, the sickness.
And she's already looking at her chips like I'm ready to go all in. Oh my gosh, that's.
And if you're Kelly, you've got to value that. I mean, you're only losing to 5-4.
Does your service here clean up puke from the tables at all?
Yes.
Because
This is gonna get pretty gross. Oh,
it wasn't an all. Well, it's going all in now.
It will, yeah.
she doesn't think 80 can have a whole lot here, so she bets pretty. And 80 check calls, 225.
Wow,
Just calls.
that is a very interesting way to play both hands.
Is it the diamond, a backdoor diamond draw he thinks would happen? She would lead out with backdoor diamonds?
Yeah, maybe she's trying to just peel thin value from him with. I mean, what are you really
the
peeling
only
value?
thing-
Like you're holding queens.
Yeah,
so
I was saying, it's really so. I mean,
really hard to get a call. So maybe
Yeah,
a small
so-
bet is good with that strong.
I actually I kind of like Kelly's size and inch because it's. I mean, even though we can see the hands that he's got, it's like I said, the way that hand's played out. I mean, it's hard for him to have a whole lot there, even though he's got all of it.
Yeah, when you're holding queens, once you start betting all in, you might be pushing them into only calling with flush territory.
6-7, you can give out even 6-7. We're really hoping that he's going to call off with ace-7. I mean, it's such a
Hard.
so hard. I mean, really, it's going to get like 6-7. It's kind of
But
one of
stack-
the combinations there that you can hope to get.
I'm just as confused. I'm sitting here listening to them talk about, why he just made that call, but should he have not raised there with the match he had behind? I mean,
It's just such an awkward from both sides. I mean, what
I like what Kelly
are you
did.
getting called by enough worse hands? Is the question you have to ask for the 5-4 raise.
okay.
So are you getting called by enough worse hands? And probably
Is ace queen ever calling there? Is
Sets
ace queen
are not
ever calling you?
folded.
ace queen, king
Queens.
queen.
I mean, really? And is those hands ever calling a check raise on that board?
I can't say I hate the check call. Though it's probably higher value.
Wouldn't it be
it's higher
better
variance
to try
too,
to
probably.
squeeze some more value out of it? I mean, you're at the river. What's the worst she's gonna do? Fold? It's either she's gonna fold or call.
Yeah, it's probably a really, you might be value cutting yourself there by raising.
Value cutting.
Yeah, like you're going for value, but you just only get called by better, so you value cut yourself.
Okay, so the flush.
Yeah, you really got to like think.
Like a backdoor
yeah,
flush?
what ace king called? Probably.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
how
I mean,
many
it's hard-
combos?
it's hard.
How many combos of horse hands does her range make up of compared to the diamonds?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's that type of thing.
And-
Do I
yeah.
have live earnings? No, not a ton of live earnings. I haven't played a lot of live poker in my life. I have played some, but not a ton. And mainly cash games is all I've really ever played. I played some tournaments, but
Yeah.
I'm not a tournament guy. I like bigger game trees.
Yeah, I think that Mustack is talking about. No, did you see her small stack remaining? And that's what I was thinking of.
I thought
pretty
it was-
much most of her stack was in the pot. Why wouldn't she just call off the rest if he had put in a raise on the river?
Yeah, I think she has to call at that point. Like,
Yeah.
with the price, but I'm.
So that's where
But
I
yeah,
think
but
he lost
that's what I'm saying.
value.
But but if you're 80, it's harder to. I mean,
But how many flushes does she have compared to top pair type hands there? Is
Yeah.
is the question.
yeah, she got a lot more one pair hands, but she can not call a raise.
I mean, you're getting the right price to be calling, but to be raising, you're going to have higher equity in that spot. 51%, right?
Yeah. So one of the things that we talk about, or we mention often in the stream, is the ability to play table stakes here at Stones for most all our games. We see Azan just sitting down now into the game. I think Azan's buying in for 1,500, 2K, somewhere in that window. I think 1,500.
Looked like 2K.
About 2K?
Around 2K
I mean, that's great. You can come in and sit down for 400 bigs
on a 5-5 game.
in a 5-5 game. I mean, you like
Looks
playing
like
deep.
he's ready to play some poker.
And so you
Got
see,
some
yeah, there's
hundreds there.
the white chips. The white chips are $100 chips. Aussie, fresh from Vegas.
Very kindly bought us some food today, right?
Aussie's the best.
Aussie's the best.
Solid raise from the cutoff, opening to 20 with ace-8 off. Especially with 80 in the small blind, that deep, you're going to want to play a lot of hands against 80 when you're in position.
Waprai, what's up? Nice to see you.
What's up, Waprai?
You got a wave from 678.
What's going on?
None of us got a wave.
80 leads out with the ace jack. Bets lead out for 55. The Zon immediately releases.
Interesting lead by 80 there.
Sorry, The Cure is playing. I'm just not paying attention to you guys
Nothing
anymore.
else is real right now.
Nothing is real. I just
So
want to cry.
KCM 1977 says AD just donkey called all the way with the gut shot. I don't think he called the turn, right?
He did.
Oh, he did call the turn.
Yeah,
Oh.
check called 120 on the turn.
I was gonna say his strategy of check calling flop and with weak hands and then stabbing river has been working out pretty well throughout the night.
Yeah, it has.
And then but calling the turn, ouch. Yeah, that's definitely.
But I mean, there's nothing more that 80 doesn't love than breaking someone's heart.
Yeah.
Owning their soul a little bit, putting a sick beat on someone.
Owning
It's
their
gonna-
soul as in check calling the river with the nuts.
That hurts.
Well, with the nuts. in
That
the hat.
hurts when you get check called
With the
twice
relative
by someone out of position and then they nail a gut shot on you. Ouch. That hurts.
It's also a good sign that you're in a pretty good game, though. No spoilers. Anthony makes it 20 to go. Ace 10 off.
Again, Jack 10-9 on the flop. You always talk about these kinds of flops.
They're like I said, the hands that hit smack a lot of players. You name big blind defense range type hands. It's a really coordinated board. I mean, there's no flush draw, right now, but
And this would be a good board that when you're asking like what type of boards are going to be good for donk leads, a board that really knows your range like this.
yeah.
Like you're going to have a lot of Jack 10, 10 9, King Queen,
Queen
7
nine.
8, yeah, just a lot of hands, and you can balance it with some like pair plus draw type hands like Queen 9.
Peter, 7 on the turn, makes his straight. Checks over to 80, and 80's going to bet 100. And now we see Peter cutting out chips for a raise. The Schwags Welcome to the chat, Vigor Ultra.
Does the raise make his hand play face up?
If he raises this, I love him right now. Oh, I thought
Yeah,
there
he
was.
just
I didn't
did.
see. I didn't see the 7. I'm sorry. I thought he was raise bluffing the turn.
No,
With
he-
King 8. I'm like, those are the best blockers.
No, he's raising with a straight. So
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that making his hand essentially face up?
Hey, what's up?
Well, you got to look at it like this. If he's raising with the 8 here, then and he's not going to have a ton of 8s, right? So if he's raising with the 8, then he's splitting his range into a raising range and a calling range, right? And so if he's raising with the 8s, he's going to be kind of off balance and not have enough 8s in his calling range, type of thing.
Okay.
So you kind of probably want to be check calling in these positions, or just check raising your entire range, type of thing. And if you don't, people that are aware of that can exploit you by going crazy on you when you are your ranges with.
Poor Garland's wife. We're all watching her eat. Just chow down. I'm the best for the stream, right? And just take it off of poker right away.
80's gonna correctly get away from it.
80 seems really good for the game.
80's fantastic.
Yeah, I got
80 is fun. He doesn't get angry when he loses, and it's just a all-around great player to have at the table. And he likes chasing his gut shots.
Great for the game. I say good for the game, great for the game. Am I playing tonight? I don't know. I brought a couple bullets. We'll see. I have quite a drive behind me, so we'll see.
Drives suck without increasing your bankroll. McRoberts!
True.
Jason McRoberts! How you doing? The star of the world, Jason McRoberts. God's gift to poker. Hey, mailman! Look at all the stars are in tonight.
Casey makes it 25 to go. King Queen.
Rally.
Takes it down pretty.
I do like, I gotta say, I do like how it's just not a bunch of limping. That people are, they're aware of. Obviously, people are aware of their other players at the table that are decent. So everybody's, being really selective with their hands and not just limping, because limping can just be punished so easily.
she loves it. Like, yeah.
I will limp. I will limp depending on the game and how.
Open limping's the worst.
I'll open limp.
If you're gonna do it, do it behind 6 people and do it off the button.
Yeah, over limping, that's different. Over limping's different.
But even if you're gonna open limp, I can understand like maybe like an open limp range on the button. Like
That's all, like, especially like tournament play, sometimes all open. Yeah, like,
tournament play, yeah, definitely open limping the button for sure. Especially like 20 big blind stuff like that, you're gonna be you get to widen your ranges a little bit by having it's much easier to balance when you have 20 big blinds. 100 big blinds deep, it's so hard to balance a limping range.
Jake didn't know that. Thank you for clarifying that for him.
Sometimes I accidentally do things right.
There's a player I was watching on a training site that plays 2KNL on Stars, which is probably one of the toughest games in the world, and he uses just an open limping strategy in 6 max, and his name's Eclectic BG, I think.
Phil Hellmuth changed his name.
He uses an open limping strategy, but he uses limp re-raise strategies and a limp calling strategy. So and he's really tough to play against for all those high stakes professionals.
Yeah.
Actually, Annie Duke used to talk about that, limping out of position, limp and check raising
Well,
out
she
of position all
could
the time.
afford to. Because her brother was just like funneling her money from the
Yeah,
from the poker
exactly.
community.
Now she's doing other things, obviously.
I got my nightly Howard letter needle. I'm good.
He needs to be needled.
Chris Ferguson got destroyed, as in verbally, at the World Series this year. Did he not?
Yes, he did. By some players that we know very well.
Really?
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I don't want to name names, but I saw quite a few Twitter posts.
Well, now that you say it, you got to drop the names.
Yeah, I got a name drop. What I thought was funny, he final tabled an event. When was he finished? Ferguson finished 4th in an event, and after finishing 4th, he raised his arms and big like I did it, something like that. I mean, I guess to some degree, he did. I mean, he came back and played the series. So.
It's tough. I think he should just come out with a formal apology for disappearing.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
I mean, people make mistakes.
Sure.
You know, and people can change.
Veronica
But-
open lips. I mean,
Yeah.
people make mistakes.
But you don't have to apologize every
in
time
5
you open
years,
them.
in 5
Oh,
years,
in
you'll
here,
say
sorry,
she's
sorry,
a
sorry.
genius. She was so advanced. She's a genius.
Garland!
Flops the world here.
And Azan's got a diamond draw.
See, and this is another board where you just want to be really polarized with your range. And is he in position? He is in position. So he should just be betting. Was it a 3-bet? Oh, I missed that.
So
No, it
listen,
wasn't. It was flat.
how
It was- okay.
how does your
A large sizing
strategy
here.
change against Garland because he's so short stacked all the time?
So Azan check
Does
calls.
it change?
Yeah, you're gonna be playing it more like a tournament where you're check raising or raising with
And
thinner
there he
value.
goes. Yeah.
And Azan picks up an inside straight draw on the turn. Garland moves in. He's only got 125. Inside straight draw, diamond draw. Azan probably just gonna flick the chip in. Yep, he does. Azan says, "Screw it, I can get there once."
Gamble, gamble. It's only like a $25 mistake.
Good job, Azan.
$25 is not a mistake. It's a tip.
Well, that one actually cost him 125 in the instance, but I think
Yeah.
with the equity he had like right around like 25, I think.
So like, okay, so the problem with Garland stack, I mean, if Azan were to bet the jam turn in on him, it's hard to even have a lot of full equity given Garland's stack size and relative set
And
spot.
Garland's a little bit fitter fold, right?
Yes. So, but I kind of almost feel like if you did have a chance, or you pick up a little bit of equity on the turn move, that become an inside straight draw. I mean, if you're going to check call it off, would you almost not be better just to kind of jam the turn on him, and in case you can get him off of a king? I mean, obviously never pull instead of kings, but if he had,
It's tough. Well, I don't think that's the correct strategy. Just because the ace king type board with a really tight player is going to have a range that consists very heavily of aces and kings. So you're just going to be punishing yourself by leading into them.
yeah.
That'd be different maybe if it was a board that favored you, where we go back to the donk betting on boards that favor you
Yeah.
or your range.
So here we go. Kelly had made it 75 to go. So the stack sizes here are incorrect. So you can see Kelly's got over $1,000 behind her. It shows she only got 160 back. You can clearly see she got 2 stacks of green there, and some more behind her than that. She put in a 3-bet pre-flop with the King 10 suited. AD leads 75, and Kelly's gonna call 2 overs and spades.
Solid lead by, or solid 3-bet by Kelly.
And now Casey, out of the small blind, is gonna check raise here.
Senses weakness.
Makes it 225 to go. And that sizing then looks an awfully value-y to me. I mean, once a player bets 75, another player calls. When you're only making it 150 more,
Oh, good God!
He is doing
I love AD. He's the best.
But he's not going to get a ton of value out of Casey. I wouldn't think. I personally don't think he's going to go too ham with 7s here.
Now Casey checks back over to AD. It's so rare that we see a double check raise line out of in no limit play.
And when you're check raising here, you're repping sets of deuces, sets of 5s, sets of 8s, right?
Yes.
So now you've just reduced your combos of sets of 3s or sets of 5s. You had 3 combos on the flop, and
Yeah.
now you only have 1 combo in your range.
Yeah.
So so the 5 is a really bad card for a check raising range.
Rosen 360 is in pain right now, and so is Mistak. You'll survive.
Casey gets away.
Oh wow!
Props to Casey for
The effort.
making a play on the flop. He actually had the best hand. Turn was a bad card for him, and Casey correctly check folds in the 5 pairs.
I think, I'm not sure if was he value raising there? No, I think it was like a
Like
bluff,
that's what I'm saying.
right?
Like that sizing, it's very value-y because I mean on 8-5 deuce and
Trying to protect
bet
his equity.
75 call when you check raises to 225. I mean that sizing, that's got to be value, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
it seems like a very, very thin, like a very mergy
yeah.
check raise. Which, I mean, he played the hand perfect. You can't really argue against what he did.
got like 10 or something?
I mean, yeah, gotta give Casey credit. I mean, for him to put in a value check raise over 7, he has to. He's pretty much you're putting 80 on and exactly a 5. It's one man in that he's not gonna fold it. He's obviously not check raise trying to get an 8 off. Not with that sizing. If you're gonna turn 7 to a bluff, try to get him to fold an 8. You're gonna go much larger, than 150 more. I would like to think so anyhow.
Yeah. So yeah, he's definitely not polarizing his range.
Yeah.
It's Miller Time 718 says I didn't even know this is legal in Cali. Yeah, Jake's beard is illegal in California. We're just keeping him out of jail right now for tonight.
Claw 1980 player who's very, very familiar with all the players here in this game. Says 80 calls the worst. Kelly made a bit better fold. That's pretty good. I tend to agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, you can get Kelly to fold that check relay. You can get 80 to call worse and get Kelly to fold better. So hashtag Casey Wizard. I don't know. And then he was beaten, got away from it. I love it.
His good and bad wizardry is polarized. Sometimes he pulls some shit moves.
Normally, like I can't really speak for like that multi-way situation where he was correct with what his whole line, but like we talked about earlier, you really don't want to be check raising hands that have showdown value and that you can just call it profitably. You want to be check raising the hands that don't have showdown value type of things, or are just minus EV calls.
That was probably like a player situation specific because of the players in the pot and Kelly being in his relative position.
Solid read.
Yeah. And there's certain boards that I try to find, or hands I try to find myself doing that with, where say we can get worse to call and get better fold hands where you have a pair with an open-ended straight draw where you might be able to check raise and get someone maybe a tighter player to fold an overpair, but someone might call with the same open-ended straight draw as you, but your pair now you're kind of free rolling them with your one pair in case versus the straight draw.
Yeah.
Example like a 9-10 on a 7-8-9 something like that, or 6-7-8. No. I screwed that up.
On 6, 7, 8. I like the check raise on 9, 10, on 6, 7, 8.
On 7, 8, 9, handling like
6, 7, 8 sounds so good.
Yeah, doesn't it?
I dream about it all the
7, 8, 9,
time.
well, 9, 10 on like 7, 8, 9 in a spot where, especially like in a 3-bet pot where a traditional player in position, for whatever reason, didn't check back that board. So you might get him
And
a full jack.
3-bet pots too, like when you see boards that are like 9, 10 jack, it's another spot that seems more like a donking spot really well because your out of position caller in a 3-bet pot is going to have a lot of jacks, 10s, 9s.
There we go, Pete.
So it's all about range versus range composition or makeup. That's going to predict what the best play is, or that's going to that's going to make whatever the best play is. I'm sorry, I can't get the words out correctly. Right?
Welcome to my world.
Life is hard sometimes.
Life is hard.
Azan in position puts in a 3-bet with Jack 9 suited on the button. He doubled up Garland and now looking to go get his money back. 10-5 deuce 2 diamonds. Peter's got top. Azan does catch diamonds. 445 in the pot and he's going to bet. Trying to see the sizing coming up here. Can't quite see.
Looks like 115 maybe?
190.
190. Way up.
What's AD thinking about?
Calling out of position.
Peter top isn't going anywhere. It should allow Casey to get away from his hand. Overcalling Queen 10 here is really, really being ambitious, and he's not going to get a chance to because Peter's going to check raise here.
It's a good hand to be check raising.
LC, are you still resting 2-bet?
Really punish the weaker hands. Oh man.
Then does part of you ever worry here that if you're check raising these 10 here on this board, you're only getting value from diamonds and you're running off your opponent's bluffs, and you're running off his ace queen, ace jack, ace king, things like that. I mean, it was 3-bet pre. And if you're not,
yeah, but
are you ever getting him to fold jacks plus?
No, you're not. But you're also you're getting value from worse hands, and you're going to value cut against the better hands. But you're also going to have a fair amount of 10s in your range that you're able to call with, and you could get called by worse 10s as well. So like if you're gonna use a 10 to check raise here, and
Does Azan have a lot of 10s in a 3-bet pot? I mean, how many 10 combos does he have in the 3-betting?
I wasn't paying attention to the exact actual beginning of the hand, but
Just
you
in
know,
general, okay, check raising ace 10 on.
it's
on
going to be
10,
one
5
of your
deuce.
best 10. It's going to be your best 10 to do it with, right?
Yes.
So, and then the rest is just going to be more of a bluff catching. They're bluff catchers. I mean, bluff catching with this combo is very fine too.
Woo! Right on the turn, no sweat.
I don't think there's going to be much more action here from Peter.
Because it was 3-bet.
Peter
Can
checks.
Peter? Well, he's behind then. Figures on for a couple overs with a diamond. I mean, you're losing, of course, to Jacks plus with a diamond. Or harder than enough Jacks plus with a diamond. He has Jack diamond.
What does he beat if he calls off here? That's the question.
Like he'll only had like ace king, ace queen with a diamond. It was the
And
one hand.
does ace king bet flop and then call a check raise? I mean,
Probably
that's
not.
so ambitious. Maybe like, well, ace 4 gets there
You
too.
can beat a bluff. But
Like, what type
a
of
bluff
bluff,
wouldn't
though?
do that. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's just it. Yeah.
You maybe like backdoor club? No, it just doesn't. Like you're not.
Yeah, ace king
the- the-
clubs. No.
So I actually like seeing. I would like to see like a check right there when the diamond comes.
From Azan.
Yeah, you might allow them, or like a small type of bet, but you might allow them to realize equity with sets and redraw type of thing on you. But you're really not. You're gonna again. You're probably just gonna end up value cutting yourself. Where I don't think you're just gonna get a ton of value there. You may get value from sets. I'm not sure the type of player. I think
Peter's a little on the tighter side.
tighter side. Yeah.
Peter plays pretty close to the vest. I mean, I mentioned earlier, and Peter will have like these intermittent little splashes of random aggression that we know where they could really catch you off guard. If you're in a game with him, he'll make a move and you're like, where the hell did that come from? But I mean, other than that, for the most part, if you were just gonna make a statement about his game in general, yeah, he'd be a player that plays a little bit closer to the vest, a little tight aggressive,
More ABC,
more ABC.
as Veronica would say.
I was just about to say, well, you wanted me to define it, and now you're using it.
I had to use it. So yeah, I'm not sure I really like the bet. Also, if you have some like check raises that are sets, they're not gonna want to go crazy on the turn either. So I think checking back a lot of your flushes is fine there as well for that reason. From both from like an optimal standpoint and an exploitative standpoint, I think you can check back and get a little bit more value out of your hand and protect your other hands that want to check back. And it's just, when you're playing poker, I think a lot of people see so the way I've heard it is there's 3 levels to a poker player, and it's first is they see their own cards, second is they see their own cards and the other person's cards, and then third is they see their own cards, the other person's cards, and what the other person thinks they have. So you're making decisions. The third level, you're going to be making decisions with your whole range. Right, you have to understand how the rest of your range plays, because if you don't, against a good player, you could be making very large mistakes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think when you're playing, you do have to not just look at your particular hand and how you get value from that hand, but think about all your other hands and what type of hands go into what range, whether it's a checking range, a betting range, and how do you need to protect those hands? What type of hands do you need to check or bet with to protect those types of hands? Which is the term balance, right? So,
Yes.
At this time, we usually just log off on our brains and just think about fish tacos. And this
So,
is why we're just doing a
Anthony-
yes answer.
Anthony had raised the flop here with the inside straight draw flush draw. 80 had called with his inside straight draw. Club comes on the turn. Anthony gets there, and 80 will correctly check fold. And we haven't seen Anthony taking a lot of pots tonight. I mean, Anthony normally he's
Yeah.
like puts on a lot of pressure. I mean, but he hasn't had the opportunity. It's been hard for him. He's got Casey on his left.
No.
and Anthony C-bet right there, right? With 8-5 of clubs.
He actually raised. So 80
Also
led,
and then he raised.
and then
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
Anthony raised with the inside straight draw club draw.
Okay. Well played by Anthony. Looks like the stacks are getting a lot deeper.
It's a great part about this game. I mean,
No, it is. I'm just getting sober.
this game goes longer and longer into the night. People get stuck.
Liquid, is it liquid Asian?
Liquidation.
Liquid is on. I kept calling him. Nice to see you. I missed you. They
Bill.
let me in. I was trolling the stream, and then they said, you can get in there.
Bill makes it 15 to go under the gun. I do not believe it's a straddle. I believe he is opening 15 under the gun. Casey comes along, AC of the clubs. Garland, the small blind, comes along pocket eights, and Peter, king, queen out of the big blind.
Oh my God, Frozen.
I think everybody here played their hand reasonably. Ace 8 could decide to 3-bet if they wanted to, but you're seeing a lot of very solid hands go to the flop. There's not like it doesn't seem like the people are just making hugely massive pre-flop mistakes in this game right now.
Bill leads and Casey calls.
And this is the type of a board where you want to be betting pretty small with your whole range, or not with your whole betting range on a monotone board. You want to be betting pretty small because you want to get value from their worse hands, obviously. So even with your flushes, you want to be betting really small.
Check on the river.
He's dead.
Top 2 for Bill's good.
It's been really nice being the cream in your cookie, in your guys' cookie tonight. It's been very good. I like being the cream. Nothing back at me, huh? Just
No, it's
fish
fine.
tacos,
No,
fish
it's
tacos.
fine.
It's been
more
nice.
like-
I was thinking it's been nice to have come up here and done this with you guys. It's
It's been a blast. It's been a real
really
privilege.
fun.
If you guys want to come down and play, 678's going to be giving his money away at a 1-3 game, I'm sure, in like 30 minutes.
Maybe.
Maybe. Maybe.
6 minutes.
It's a long drive back to the grind.
It's exceptionally quiet tonight. I think everyone's hungover from the World Series of Poker. And I don't mean like a drunk hungover,
That's
but
a
like
long
a
hangover.
poker hangover.
Yeah, that's a long hangover.
Yeah, I know you don't play. Sorry, a lot of live poker anymore. I know you know, and obviously don't play a lot of tournaments anymore. But anything for you for the World Series this last summer we just had?
No,
What about Unite, the online event they had?
I've never even well, you have to be in Nevada for that. I haven't even been. I've never even played a World Series event. I've gone there for cash games. I'm just such a cash game grinder.
It's good. It's smarter. I think there's a lot of players who probably be better off that way.
Yeah, but tournaments are really high variance.
Yeah.
They are. You know, you can go a
it's
long time
great when
without
it works
having a
out,
win.
but
Yeah.
I used to be a little sit and go wizard.
a
And
great way to
honestly,
play
like a
ball.
mid-level sit and go, you could sit there and let them play stupid and then pick up a good hand. You're so short stacked. You could essentially shove, double up twice, and you've won the satellite. Or 3 times sometimes. But, yeah. Thanks, guys, for contributing to what I'm saying. That's good.
no, I've actually.
No, it's a great
The
chat.
thing
no.
is these days with sit and goes, like back in the day when you're talking about how you used to be a sit and go wizard.
Like 30, 40 years ago, man.
But what was it, the 70s or the 90s?
Yeah, the 70s, man. No, like sit and goes even 5 years ago were so easy
but the
compared
thing
to
is
now.
these days that because they're so short stacked, there's a lot of programs these days that solve for optimal play in those games,
Yeah.
and so they're just kind of there's not really a lot of value in them anymore. Even like Poker Stars, I think the big games over there across the world is spin and goes these days.
Spin and goes?
Yeah, so it's like it's a slot style spin. You put in your money. 3 people put in their money and into the pool, like a player, like a regular sit and go pool, and then it has a little spinner, like a slot machine, and it tells you how much you win, and you can win up to like 100,000 on a $5 buy-in, and so you just play for whatever it tells you, pretty much against 3 people. There's spin and goes, not sit and goes.
That's interesting.
It's gamble for sure.
I heard they were doing spin and go satellites for some WPT events.
Oh, really?
WPT Europe events, where one out of every X amount of sit and goes, where all of a sudden you put in your $5 or $10 or however much whatever. There's I think there was a higher baseline for the swim sit and goes, but you might put in $50 and the next thing all of a sudden you're playing 3-handed for a $10,000 buy-in WPT Europe, or I'm sorry, not WPT, EPT.
Super
EPT
high
event.
variance for
Yeah.
sure. Super high variance. Kelly just got herself back a little bit of chips. She's been losing a few pots with some unlucky streaks, but she got a little cooler there. She got a full house over a three of a kind that turn into the bottom end of the straight.
I still think with those small sit and goes with a short stack, a lot of people make a lot of mistakes. You know, raising 40% of their stack with a marginal hand, and you can just take them out.
Probably in
essentially.
America.
In America.
In America, Americans are very far behind in the poker world.
Yeah.
Very, very far behind, actually.
No offense to our viewership, but
Yeah.
You all suck.
Well, this is a viewership from around the world, so.
yeah, exactly. We had Leo in the last game. He came all the way over from Malaysia, by way of Brazil, or from Brazil by way of Malaysia.
Listen, I just got cable on my TV. Leave me alone.
AD plays just any two cards. And against those types of players, you should just be betting and raising against them just with any two cards yourself in your range. Just because they're going to have so many weak hands that they're going to have to check fold at some point in time. So I think like against those types of players, triple barreling is just going to be the play with most that's going to be your play most of the time. And you see here how Peter bets twice and he just has to fold to queen 7 because he has nothing. And a lot of people think you can't bluff fish at a table. You can bluff fish. You just have to use it as a 3-barrel bluff. You just have to pick the right bluffs.
More gears.
Contract killer.
Look at our stacks. Did Azan add on again? I think that was our stream for the night. I think that was our last hand.
Oh my goodness. Make sure you guys tune in on Wednesday. Veronica and friends are going to be playing, and too bad 678 is not going to be here. He could talk about how badly I play.
Or just beat up the game for... You can print money in that game. Have you ever watched that game? It's
I might hop in it. I might stick around for a little while. It looks pretty fun.
right on.
Thank you so much for joining us. Saturday, 3 p.m., we have a satellite to our Sunday final, to our Sunday...
40K guarantee.
Yeah, there it is.
That starts at 3 p.m. Get down here, play a satellite, watch Veronica and friends, get on the list, playing a game. Our special thanks to Mr. David Alford.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for having me.
678.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, our pleasure,
Smart,
for sure.
handsome, everything you want in a poker player, right?
Oh, it's very nice of you.
I've been stalking you for 6 months. It's fine.
It's sorry.
What else?
Thanks for all you guys in the back that make all this possible. Bob, Kenny, Andrew, Abraham,
All of them.
all of them.
All of it.
Good night, Zendux. Good night,
Zendex,
everybody.
everyone.
Nice having
It's
you.
our
Good
show.
night.
Inside Stone's Gambling Hall in Sacramento, California, you'll find Sammy's Restaurant and Bar. Recognized for its innovative, healthy global cuisine, Sammy's offers menu selections made with local, organic ingredients. Indulgent options like truffle fries, duck tacos, artisan wood-fired pizzas, fresh salads, and more, along with an eclectic selection of craft beers and classic handcrafted cocktails. Plus, with 40 big screen TVs, Sammy's is also the perfect place to catch your favorite game. Satisfy your craving anytime, 24/7, tableside or in the dining room at Sammy's Restaurant and Bar at Stone's Gambling Hall.